Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get pre-orders of all the upcoming Force of Will sets, as well as releases of previous sets after they come out. TCGprime.com, with over 100,000 Force of Will singles, as well as out-of-print boxes from the past, and TCG accessories, as well as fowlibrary.com, a wonderful resource for deck lists, article discussions, and more. Check them out at fowlibrary.com, as well as these amazing patrons. Special. Hey there, rulers. Welcome here to the top 8 coverage today. We are in for a blast. It is just me. I know Ryan is showing it be on the screen, but it is just me today. You're going to be jumping in for our top 8 here, looking forward to some pretty cool stuff. We have a Feith Mooj mirror in one. We have a Violet mirror, a Carlina Dante, and then what we were about to say, Carlina Dante versus Welser, and then what we're about to see is Carlina Dante versus Carlina Asmodeus. A very different Carlina Asmodeus list from William Miller. This is going to be very, very exciting. I'm excited to jump into it, commentate by myself. I do just want to give a shout out to the 2 winners of yesterday's event, the 2 winners of yesterday's giveaways, which would be Logan Moses and Ryan Camacho. You guys have been messaged to get your addresses. Congratulations again on winning those promos. And we're going to go ahead and jump back in. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump over to the table, get these guys started, and we'll jump in for top 8. Welcome. And if you haven't already, consider joining the channel as a member and chat with us in the chat. Thanks, guys. Let's go to the table.
I watched the replays on stream and saw that like the top players were playing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good, Carlina.
Okay. Hello, guys. So the way this is going to work again is you guys are already set up. You've done mulligans. We know that Toby as the lower seed has been. William as the higher seed gets choice. William has chosen to go first. You guys are going to have 60 minutes on the round. We will be able to hear you, but you will be not able to hear us. If you have any questions, you can just say, hey, Jeremy, or something like that in regards to the time. Other than that, any questions? Great. Well, welcome to your top 8. You have 60 minutes on the round. You may begin.
Oh,
Yeah, these lists are very, very cool. I mean, we saw this Carlina Dante
Put
list
4
yesterday
down.
from Toby in the last round, but we did not see this list from Carlina Asmo from William Miller. It is not at all trying to go fast. Most of these times have been
Alright.
trying to
I
play
still cold stone.
things, to try to do the combos with the
6
tokens
stage
and stuff.
stone.
But this card is gonna be kind of, I think,
Tap
the
Carolina down
mainstay,
for
the
double
mainstay
black.
of this
Recover
deck,
her.
which is we're going
Tap
using
for 3rd black.
plus
Virgilius.
first turn Virgil. Being I go ahead and take
good.
that risk for the cancel
Your
there.
turn.
We're doing a lot of grinding with the Carlina Asmo deck.
Yep.
Using the coin. We're just
Yep. It's good.
This is a very interesting using the coin for Virgil here. Not even like we're just not even gonna be able to call stone at all this turn.
Yep.
That feels very risky for this start.
11.
I don't know why we're not at least calling stone to try to recover the Carlina. We are literally gonna be resourceless here.
We'll make Dante Astral attempt to cast Virgil.
Alright, in response, I'll do something very familiar. Number 13.
Yeah, I don't.
Call stone with Dante.
You cannot call stone.
Yeah.
You cannot
right.
call stone. You have performed judgment.
Yeah, you gotta shuffle your stone deck now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after you have performed judgment, judgment sequence for the turn, you may not call stone.
Ooh, okay. Screwed myself.
Bit of a misplay there. Locked out of resources completely. We got to shuffle the stones. Can't call that stone. And we knew that this could. If this was the tradition, so the thing is interesting about this is if this was a Carlina Asmodeus that was just trying to go off with like the combo from the tokens, that probably is just lethal. But he's not. He's playing against a very grindy list. It's got like four Welsers, 4 Fiolas, Dracula. Here we go. We can use Dracula, and the thing about Dracula with Asmodeus, we can just start stacking this guy. We can just start stacking this guy and bringing him back every single turn, which is pretty crazy.
Yep.
Trying to pull up the deck list right now. Go. William list, yeah. Like 4 Fiola, 4 Welser, 4 Faricia, 4 Lucifer defeated 1 wing, 4 Dracula, like Academy Guards mained, 4 Brads mained, 4 Giant Pigs mained. Like this deck is, I mean, obviously being an Asmodeus deck, it's got to play a lot, but like we're just gonna try to grind out. And like the idea is like I don't really know of a way outside of Satan to deal with a Dracula in the mirror.
Okay.
Second Virgil coming, which turns on Stan, which is potentially for Toby a very good line to take the more aggressive Stan because there's so many cards.
I'll cut down my 2 6 pages to number 13, your Virgil.
So like this is fine because like there's so many things. There's a top deck Inferno, which there's a 2 of Inferno in the deck, which you really have to worry about. But there's nothing in this main board that really answers the Lucifer outside of the top deck Inferno, and he can't like search for it. He would just be in top deck mode in a deck that has 60 cards. So like going for the Dan doesn't going for the Satan play doesn't feel bad. Yeah, it does not feel bad at all. Because otherwise that Dracula is gonna keep dead.
Pass turn?
Yeah, we're just passing turn there.
Alright. Draw?
Yes.
Recover?
Yes. Let me know, Rustin, can you let me know how the player audio is versus my audio? I've tried to turn myself up and turn them down, but obviously I want to be able to hear me over them early. Volume.
Alright, I'll tap stone to play my rogue spectator.
We're playing the Rogue Spectator.
People can't gain life. What else does it do?
That's all it does. Just people can't gain life until end of turn.
Okay. And he's a 1 cost?
Yep.
I don't think you do anything to stop that card.
Okay.
Wow.
Asmodeus' God's Art.
In response, I will do a red-black, and I will Flames of Outer World.
Dracula.
Ooh, that's pretty good. So the Dracula does get to come back at the
so
end of the turn.
1, 2,
So he does whiff on this.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So,
Yeah, hitting here does
7
stop those, at least those two
RFPs.
+1/+1 count, those huge board of +1/+1 counters.
End turn. Dracula comes back.
Yeah.
Did he hit an Inferno?
Draw.
That was during his turn he took that action? Oof.
Recover.
Only 2 cards in hand. Lost. I don't know if he hit an Inferno there. If he had hit an Inferno,
Sage Stone.
he hit an Inferno.
Black.
Okay.
Recover Carlina.
Asmodeus Goddard, I think you go for Stan here, because then at that point in time, boost you a little bit. Sounds good. Thank you. Myself up just a smidge. Perfect. Yeah, if you hit the
Play another black.
he hit the Inferno here,
Good.
it's probably just
In response,
go. Yeah, we're going for the Stan. This is the proper plan.
use 2 black and Satan.
Yep.
Finding his token.
So everything.
Wait.
on the
Well,
grave
hold
is
up.
making-
Hold up. Are you using his God's Art now?
Oh yeah, God's Eye. Sorry.
Alright, in response to his God's Art, I'm gonna tap 3, Rigveda.
Ooh,
Art.
Rig Veta to
Cancel.
cancel the Goddard
The Virgil as well.
and cancel the Virgil
You get
cast.
to choose 2.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
cancel target ability and target spell.
That's
So if the Virgil's still on
huge.
face, I'm
That's
canceling your Virgil,
huge.
and I'm canceling your God's Art for the ability.
That card's too powerful, man.
Yeah.
That card is hitting a Rig Veta there is huge. I don't really know. Yeah, that is knowing that there's 4 Rig Veta there is
So my turn.
pretty
Okay.
big.
Okay. Draw.
He does get to cast more than 1 card per turn. Did he have a battle comes to an end there? Ooh, I think it might have been safer to go for the battle comes to an end to try to steal the Rig Vetas. Just to lock himself to be able to go for it. That is the one out to the God Art in the main deck for Will.
I'll crack my Aaron Thorpia.
Yep.
Gonna recharge.
I'll use Moses' God's Art.
Yep.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, that was a big
So,
punish.
7 different names. 7/1/1.
Does hit 7. Those 1/1 counters are just gonna be there forever.
Yep.
Now we can
Swing it
still
for
kill
13,
that if we
Dracula.
have a Garion is the thing though. So
Yep.
4 plus
Yep. Good turn.
13.
Game 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna scoop it up and go next game. Oof. I think I got it. I don't.
That Rigveda card is so stupid.
I don't think it was.
One thing that'll cancel that. Yeah.
How did
Good
they let
against.
you choose all 3? That's like ridiculous.
Yeah. You can get a lot of value. That's that. That's why it's so good in Carlina's, because you can get like it's a +1 card advantage. So
So stupid, man.
yeah.
Going into game 2 here. Looking at Williams' deck. I think the Academy Guards probably come out. I imagine potentially the Infernos come in. And maybe.
Just gotta get rid of that card.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the problem is too is like see the opponent's deck list here. We had battle comes to an end. Like weren't being superbly pressured. I think it might have been better to just take a turn, use that floating black, and try to go for the battle comes to an end to rip the Rig Vedas to give yourself the safety. Because looking at the Asmodeus deck, it's not going to be going fast. I also think that trying to using the Garion to cancel the Rogue Spectator felt like an unnecessary play, because Garion is a 1-cost kill Dracula. which like he had another way to kill. That means he had 2 ways to kill the Dracula with the 2 Goddarts, which I think would have been a better position. And that's William's deck. I mean, William's deck is definitely it's definitely a lot of cancel.
I'm gonna side in 7.
Just the fact that of 60 cards, even the odds of you getting it all the time is low. So like you having it all the time is kind of annoying.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's 4 of them in the deck, and yeah.
Oh, I know 60 cards though, like
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where I think you have to
when you judge me, so I have to call stone first. Yeah, that's large.
Oh yeah, but you're kind of in a bad situation where if you didn't hit a 6H stone, then you'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that looking at the deck list from William, you're not worried about being pressured super early. So I don't think that while the Stan is a very good player, I don't think there's a need to go that fast. I think you can afford to take your time, especially considering the fact that Dante can just stop Dracula.
And then the top.
Like, Dante's Goddard just stops Dracula.
Okay, 15 and 5.
Like, all we have to do is just activate the Goddard of Dante, and then this Dracula never comes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh no, it'll trigger in the field. It might lose the ability. I'd have to look at that. They are going into game 2. I apologize. I didn't put the win up there for William.
11 from your main deck, and 1 from your stone deck.
Graveyard from the field, but it wouldn't. I have to look and see exactly how Dracula would interact with it. I'd have to ask. I think it might get rid of its ability to attack because it gains an ability next end of turn trigger. It doesn't say this card gains. Like a trigger to create a conditional trigger. That's a question of like, does Dante's Goddard stop Dracula? Because if it does, then suddenly William's deck uses a lot of steam. Like a lot of steam. I also think that missing the stone call was a little unfortunate.
Alright, call stone. Knowledge. I shall pass you.
I think going for a Rigveda off of going for the strategy of ripping the deck apart is with sitting on the Dante Goddard is how Toby wins this match.
Okay.
Rather than going aggressive.
Trigger the untap.
Yep.
So this is a pretty strong start. We can go for the Dante. We can at least have the Dante like dead, right? And killed. Turns on our other stone. Does force a Carlina tap. Don't have a virtual hand, I don't think, for this, but if we do.
Yes, I'll do 2 black with Carlina.
Okay.
Actually. This is rough.
I think you still go for the virtual flip.
Coin.
Okay.
Judgment.
Yep.
Trigger.
Good.
Search for a Virgil. Here.
How many from the top?
Delayed trigger like Misty. Yeah, it might be.
10.
If it's a delayed trigger, then yeah, Dante wouldn't stop it. The trigger's in the field. Question is there another number 13, or is this Virgil?
I will attempt to cast Virgil.
There's a lot of cancel deck of.
In response, I'm gonna Rigveda to cancel Virgil.
That gets a Rigveda out of there, which is pretty good.
Fast turn.
Yeah, you see, there's that next turn.
Well,
That battle comes. We just hard rip Rigvedas out of the hand.
Call stone.
Yes.
You want me to shuffle? Because I didn't really see, but I looked. Like,
Yeah, that's no problem.
so keep it
Yeah,
or
you can shuffle it.
shuffle it? Okay.
See here. Yeah, having that battle comes to an end in hand, I do.
Top 5.
Top 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Pull that hand back.
Hmm.
World where
I'll just pass to you.
we're not taking any action. I think there's a world where we should have probably flashed that third.
Stone.
But also, yeah, playing slow here. Also, I think don't need to get super aggressive. We just pass because like William can't be the aggressor. There's nothing in the deck that gets particularly aggressive outside of a Dracula, or like end of turn quick casty boys, and even then it's like just Faurecia. So play it easy. Keep your cool.
Guess I'll do a white.
Okay.
Play Artillerist.
Oh boy,
Artillerist.
this is actually I really like this going for this route. It's like hey,
No.
I have Carlina and my 6-age stone on tap.
This is-
Good.
Alright. I will fling Gary on you for
Okay, so
1,000.
yep.
do
Easy.
1,000 damage, and he gets to draw a card.
And trigger to draw a card.
Yep.
That's pretty good. I mean, in this matchup, if we're gonna be slow, like
Mhm.
let's go face direct this way. That's really good.
Alright, end of your turn. Tap my 2 greens. Play Faurecia.
Got a Faurecia, right?
I will.
Can't do anything to stop her because we've already used our one spell for turn for Artillerist.
I'll cancel it.
With
You've already used your one spell per turn, Toby,
Yeah.
casting
Oh,
Artillerist.
I did at the end of turn. Okay, yep, you're right. Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
You were correct.
Alright, so my turn.
Yep.
Cover.
Problem is now we have targeted
sorry,
like
draw.
barrier,
Yeah, draw. Okay.
so gonna be harder to kill stuff here.
before
We need like
recovery,
board wide stuff.
I'll tap
At Toby's list to
Artillerist
see
is
what has the
4/4,
board
right?
wide.
He's a 4/4, yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna tap down Kalina for black and double black. I'll discard Fallen Angel Black Tears to neg for him.
Gonna
Okay.
die.
Draw a card.
Yep.
Okay, recover.
Yeah.
Call
Not a
stop.
lot of board wipe in this deck.
6 Sage.
Outside, I mean, for Fallen Angel of Black Tears and 7 Deadly, also 7 Deadly in here.
Tap down for double black and recover her.
Okay.
Okay. Third black. Virgil.
Oh, there's that cancel. Fire. King that
I
action.
gotta cancel that. We'll float a white.
Okay.
Do green, white, and cancel.
Okay.
Interesting. We knew the cancel was
Marty's
there.
God's Art.
Still
With the white.
can't
Is good.
Good.
because it's one card per turn.
1,
Yeah.
2,
Ooh, that's hits an
3,
Inferno.
4, 5, 6, 7. 6 different names. So.
Faurecia is now
Someone
swinging in
found
for
Faurecia.
12 at a time.
So she's on 11/11.
12.
12, 13.
Yeah, she's got a big defense.
She's a 5/5 originally, or a.
She's a 6/7.
Oh, okay.
Alright, then I'll swing you for 12 with Faurecia.
Okay. Puts me at 28.
So the problem here with this is that like now it has 13 defense, so it's even outside of the range of a Fallen Angel of Black Tears.
Yeah.
That would be a thing to wipe it.
Cover.
I still think because you can accept, because there's no Asmodeus Stone, I still think you go for a battle comes to an end to rip the Rigvettas out and then go for stand next. I almost think that you do battle comes to an end and judgment. Battle comes to an end and you judgment Astema or Carlina here to be able to deal with the Faurecia, because Carlina won't take any damage from the Like, that feels pretty good. in this particular environment, that would be the play that I make. Like, Faurecia literally can't kill Carlina. Like, it's impossible, however big she is. So, and she has flying. So, like, there's not a lot of stuff in the deck of Paul that's going to be able to target her either.
Rainbow.
So,
I got 4 mana up.
I think you go for Battle Come.
I'll use the 2 black, produce a black. Battle comes to an end.
Alright, in response to that, tap for double blue. Play Viola.
It goes back to the bottom of the deck. Yep. Still think it's the right play to Judgment.
Oh, that's good. God damn. That was really good.
Because, like, he does have a body, second body here, but no way to bump it up. So, like, Judgment and Carlina here to be able to answer the board, the Faurecia is a big deal.
Black green.
Okay.
Carlina.
Yes, that is 100% the play. Can't cast anything, but we can't shoot her either.
I guess I'll Veil Satan outside the game.
Okay.
And I'll pass turn to you.
That's the right play,
Alright,
correct?
I
Because that
feel
Faurecia is the biggest threat and cannot deal with
Recover.
Carlina.
Yeah.
Fine.
Alright, you got. How much mana do you have up? Just Carlina?
Just Carlina.
You got how many cards in hand?
5.
5 cards in hand. Okay. Call Stone.
Yep.
6 Sage.
Not an Asmodeus.
I'll tap down Carlina for black and green. Cover her?
Yep.
Oh, it's gonna recover freeze, yeah. Alright, I'll use mana. Carry on.
Can't cancel it. Let that happen. This is not lethal. Don't want to burn into a Goddard. He has to waste the. You tap out, you die. This is the game. Ooh,
Yep.
that answers it.
That's good.
That's good. That's a good out. Gets around the Goddard for sure.
Swing you for 13 or 12 with Faurecia.
And that's got flying?
No, she has no flying or anything like that.
Block it. I think he's gonna take it.
To
16?
Yep.
That Welser was clutch. Very clutch there.
Swing you for.
She's a 5, right?
Yeah, it's just a 5.
Welser.
Actually, no, I'll pass.
This is pretty good. This is a pretty good spot. It's a pretty good spot. We have a Virgil in hand. I think you just attempt to try to let the Virgil resolve, and then if the Virgil gets canceled, then you go for the Rigveda. Especially since we have a Goddard of Carlina left, and we can drain some life back, and that also helps us deal with the. Like, that's kind of huge. So I still think that, like, you call Stone with Dante first before you do anything else. And then worst comes to worst, we use Carlina to answer the. Yeah.
Call Stone with Dante.
Always try to call Stone first. The 5-color Stone. So now we can't swing Carlina, otherwise we're locked out of Sage Will. I still think that the right call is trying to kill Carlina to Virgil and just seeing if that resolves. Because if it does resolve, he's in a really good spot. And if it doesn't resolve, then you stand, especially since one Inferno's already gone.
Make Carlina Astral.
Let the Virgil resolve.
Virgil?
Good.
Virgil does resolve. Okay.
So Virgil comes into play.
Yes, this is absolutely the right call. Time to move into combat.
Enter combat?
Alright, before I enter combat, I'll tap for green. I'll discard
We're gonna burn some cards out of his hand. We're gonna
number 13 to ping Virgil for 1,000 using Faurecia's effect.
Response to the effect, I'll God's Art Dante.
Okay.
now we can start pinging stuff.
Pay
Yeah.
black to ping your
Viola.
Faurecia for 400 with Bane.
I'll use Faurecia's effect.
Ping her again.
I'll tap another black in response to ping it again for another 4.
Yep.
That'll kill the Faurecia and he'll gain 4.
Yep.
That gets the Farisi
Nice.
off board. That's really good. I think you ping the Fiola as well, because it still leaves you up with 3 will, just to get the body off board, and then you can use Welser to swing in.
Virgil will die.
Oh, we're just gonna get the 4. Interesting. Needed that 4 will for something, I guess.
Attempt to swing at you for 6.
6 good. 24.
That was well played. That was well played from the Virgil. Leaving a lot of will. There is a world where you still go for Stan here, to be perfectly honest. Because we burned through the possibility of Regina.
Pass turn to you.
But I also don't
Turn.
I don't
That's
hate
going
just
up for black and green. Play the black, play Lucifer.
Oh, he's quick cast.
Yep.
This is gonna be 1 card up.
And you gain 5?
Yep, 15 to 19.
To 29.
Sorry, 15 or 19 to 25. My bad.
Should be
All right.
15.
My turn.
9.
Yeah, I passed it. You did it at the end of my
Okay.
turn.
Yep. So draw.
Yeah.
Recover.
Both are astral, yeah.
Call stone.
Yes.
And Thorpia.
15 to 29 should be life to.
I'll use Carlina's God's Art. And then I'll crack Aaron Thorpia
We're trying to push for lethal here.
to reset God's Art.
Yeah.
Asmodeus' God's Art.
Pay a white to cancel your God's Art.
Yep. Okay.
Ooh, that's huge. That's huge.
All right. Swing you for 5 with Fiola.
Down to 10.
14.
10.
I'm thinking. I'm debating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 14.
Didn't shoot.
All right,
He only was able to successfully deal damage with Virgil
Lucifer
once,
for
so he
4?
gained 4. I thought I gave him the 4. He was down to 16 and up to
10.
10.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna. The players are tracking life total, so I'll let them track.
Darion.
Good game.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
unfortunately the Garion resolves, and then it just swings through for lethal there. So that will be it. Thanks, guys. William, go ahead and report. That is
All
it, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Oh, shot only once to go up to 20. Yeah, I think that there was a world where you should have in response to the casting of the Lucifer just gone for Stan at that point in time. Let the Lucifer resolve. You're gonna have to discard a card when it dies, and it doesn't even have to discard a card when it dies. Just like set it to reset. You still have 2 will. Your opponent has in hand. I think that would have been the proper play through there. At least at that point, you don't have to deal with what's in hands. Overall, I think Toby played that game well. I think just seeing the benefits of the stand there, I think that was the problem. I'm gonna call Ryan Miles because he wants to be able to come commentate with me today. Let's give him a call and get him in, able to commentary for top 4 and 5. So it's always better when I person. Calling on the line, Ryan Miles. Hopefully. Ryan Miles. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Oh God, doing good.
Doing
I'm
good.
currently in the middle of a card game of my own, so I'm gonna finish this up real quick. I think
Sounds
I'm
good.
losing. So it shouldn't take very long.
Sounds good. The other Great Grumbler, the other ruler versus ruler matchups were Violet Mirror, a Feeth Mooge Mirror, and Carlina Dante versus Welser. I think Toby, we were just talking about it. If you haven't watched the stream, I think that there was a line where the line that should have taken place is that when your opponent casts the Lucifer, because it's still technically your turn, you can go into Satan at that point. So like he's trying to establish pressure, and you're low on life. So like steal his entire pressure swing, because you still would have had 2 will available. Because Carlina could have paid for Stan, and then you would have had black and anything to still be able to make plays. So I just think maybe didn't think about the fact that it's still during your turn, so you can quick cast Stan at that point. Rigveda, I also, we said this before about like being able to look at the deck lists of, knowing that the deck list from William is this kind of like slow grind, flash in dudes at your end step kind of deck. I think in game 2 you played it the right way of like slow, like he's trying to grind you out so like you can match and grind, as opposed to in the game 1 trying to get super aggressive. But there's lessons to be learned there for sure. That deck from Carlina Asmodeus is not at all what I anticipated when I heard that Carlina Asmodeus was in the top 8. Like not a single token generator at all.
Just good old beatdown, right?
just like I'm gonna flash in a 2-drop 5/6 on the end of your turn, even if I don't have to cancel anything. I'm gonna cancel a 60. Well, I mean, like the deck is, looking at it in terms of cancel type cards. It's got 4 Fiola, 4 Wilser, 4 Faricia, so that's 12. 4 Lucifer,
Hear that.
4 in the main board, 3 Academy Guards, which doesn't really do much in the mirror, but also like 4 Lucifers to be able to flash in and like drain life, get life back, and then just be a little bit of a poke. And then 4 of the Dracula Reborn Vampire. And that's a question to ask Ryan, because Ryan might know. So the exact text of Dracula says, when this card is put into a graveyard from the field, trigger. At end of next turn, trigger. Put this card into the field with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. If Dante's God Art is active, does he ever come back? Because it triggers in field, because it's from field to grave, so it always triggers where it originates.
Right.
But then it creates a delayed trigger that triggers in grave. So does the trigger in grave...
2 triggers on it. So when this card is put in the field from the graveyard, it creates a delayed trigger. At the next end of turn, trigger, put this card into the field. But it has to be in the graveyard. Yeah, I think Dante stops that forever.
Dante stops it forever? I'm
pretty sure.
Yeah, if that is the case, it certainly would probably eliminate the ability of the card to say +1/+1 counters on this card don't cease to exist. Right? It would it just wouldn't have that text on it under a Dante.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So a Dante God Art just like turns off Dracula from being a particularly dangerous card.
Right.
Which is something to be considerate of. But overall, I mean, like this is it is just like, well, 80 or 60 good cards. I'll just play 60 good cards. Only got 2 copies of 7 Deadly Sins, 4 Brad mained, 4 Agrade. It should not come back because Dante blanks the trigger. That was my thought too. Eris. Just making sure. 2 Infernos mained in a non-Astema deck. 4 Flashing Smiles, 4. It's just like this is the most say no Asmodeus deck I've ever seen. Like you're just trying to like no. Like, and then using, you're not necessarily trying to pop off with Asmodeus's God's Art, but like, if I swing a couple times with with some 6/6s and they stay on board, and then suddenly I make them 13/13s, like, oh wait, I'm dead, right?
Right.
Yeah, no tea parties. I could see tea party making its way into this list potentially, being spoken to. Oh, making sure that they did they not report? Let's see. Yeah. So no, there's still all two of the other games are currently playing. The Feethmooge match and the Violet Mirror are currently playing. I'm finding out if Carlina Dante beat Welser because they didn't report. So we'll see.
I feel like Carlina Dante is overwhelmingly favored into Welser. I was actually talking
Into
to
the
Sam
Welser
last
combo?
night about it because
Yeah.
he had some questions. He's like, "Hey, how do I play this matchup?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you. First of all, watch the stream. Second of all, Turbo Satan."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Welser got beat by Carlina Dante. It made it into top 8 and then proceeded to say, "Have a nice day." Okay.
Yeah, I think that matchup is incredibly Dante Carlina favored. There's just not enough interaction that and he had 0 Greenwich in his 55, so
yeah, there's not a lot of interaction, and then like that deck, as we saw yesterday, that deck is kind of dependent on like to get through some of the stuff that Carlina's doing. It kind of really does need to get first boons to work, and so like telling the like timing properly the Dante Goddard to make the first boon feel awful is like a big deal in that matchup. The other thing that let's talk about is like there's so many copies in the top 8. Like let's talk about a card that almost saw no one was playing it last week, and this week in the top 8 it's everywhere, which is Battle Comes to an End.
Yeah.
This card is everywhere in this top 8. Which I think is
it just in the Carlina decks?
It's probably pretty much just in the pretty much in the Carlina decks.
Okay,
but there's 4 Carlina decks in the top.
Yeah.
There's 3 Carlina decks. So like there's so many copies of this card everywhere.
Right. I think like last week it was like you were expecting the mid range, and like Battle Comes in is cool, but it technically is a -1 unless you get the card out of their hand. And you were trying to get like more stemma value in that kind of format, but here it's like if you're seeing Carlina Dante, just call Virgil, and then the match becomes fairly straightforward.
Fairly straightforward. Yeah, in that matchup, it's just like, hey, we're gonna try to. I went first. I hit 6 Sage Stone, so I'm safe to try to use that 6 Sage Stone and a floating wheel from Carlina. Go, try to go for Battle Comes to an End, and if they cancel it, you're like, cool. No one's playing Battle Comes to an End but me, Steven Holsheiser. Famous last words. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Kyron has won his, we've been told.
Won the Violet
Mirror. So now we're waiting on the Feethmooge Mirror. So top 8 at this point in time is 2 Carlina, or top 4 at this point in time is 2 Carlina Dante, Feethmooge, and so top 4 will be Violet, 2 Carlina Dante, and a Feethmooge. It's just a matter of
Feethmooge, Travis, or is it Paul?
It's Travis and Paul. They're both on Feethmooge.
They haven't finished yet? Okay.
They haven't finished yet. They're playing
Gotcha,
the mirror.
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that one would take probably the longest out of all the
top 8 matchups. Yes.
Very understandable.
Yes. It was like we were one like point distribution away from having 3 mirrors in our top 8, which would have been gross. But overall, I mean, let's talk about that. So yesterday, you and I looked at the Kieran winning a Violet Mirror Wild. Yeah, who would have thought? That man's played more Violet than all of us combined. Like yesterday, you and I talked about how, based on the events of last weekend and American player bases, that we saw a much more heavy aggressive format, and we saw this idea of like the mid-range decks kind of beating each other out, and so we wouldn't be surprised if more aggressive decks made their way into top 8. And I would say that is I would say based on the ways that like the Carlina Dante decks that we're seeing are kind of being built, that's not that I think that's what we saw, right? Like the Welser deck is aggressive in the sense that it's like trying to turbo ramp into a combo out. which is just very similar to like the combo slot that went to last week with the decapitation combo, right? So it's just like a different combo deck found its way into top 8. And then we have these 2 Violets being piloted by very, by talented pilots, for Violet being that aggressive deck to push into it. We see Feethmooge doing Feethmooge things, which we kind of expected. So like it's nice to know that, in my perspective, and I'd be curious to hear yours, it's nice to know that it's not a complete 180 from last week's event, but at the same time, it's nice to see that, like, yeah, like aggressive decks can actually get in there, in this environment. So I don't know, what your thoughts on the composition of the top 8 of today?
Yeah, I think that even after last week, I just felt like personally Feethmooge and Dante Carlina are just like 2 of the strongest decks in general. And one thing about Feethmooge specifically is that it takes time to adjust to the format. Like Feethmooge is a deck that really has like an embarrassment of riches. It has full 10 color access very easily and gets to play like whatever 2-cost spells at once, right? But the issue can generally be that like it's very hard to build a 40 card Feethmooge deck. So looking at last week, I feel like Feethmooge was able to like build more for the meta, and it's kind of weird because I think you did have to kind of go one step ahead of it here. Where if you just like built to beat last week, you were kind of losing this week because everything got a lot faster. But if you look at last week's results and say, hey, maybe people will try and go faster, and then you tech for that, then that's kind of what I would expect to see. So that's why I'm kind of like in Feethmooge like overall in this meta as it gets more solved. Yeah. But Dante Carlina is just a powerful deck. And I think, in my opinion, it's the most powerful Carlina deck in a vacuum. And I think it's really good into like the other fast decks because it has such easy access to the life gain. So yeah, those 2 decks are like the ones that I would expect.
Oh, so I guess I mixed up. It's not double Carlina Dante in top 4. It's Carlina Dante, Carlina Asmo, Violet, Feethmooge.
Oh right, yeah. So it's one of each.
Yeah, it's because we have this like hard control Carlina, Carlina Asmo with the Carlina, which we just saw 2-0 the Carlina Dante. So it almost kind of feels like there's a world where potentially William might have been the person who was taking that one more step ahead.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that goes.
Sorry, I think Carlina Asmodeus is very powerful, but I'm still not like sold on the deck. It just the 60 cards just feels like, I know there's a lot of redundancy, which is very good, but like Carlina Asmo just feels like a less consistent Carlina Dante to me. And I could just be wrong there. Obviously, William's having a lot of success with it, but it does feel like that deck is more prone to have bad draws and is like more reliant on finding certain pieces and has to play a much weirder game when it doesn't see what it needs to see. Whereas Carlina Dante just always has what it needs. And maybe that thing, like just Carlina Dante having Virgil is less powerful and more predictable, so other people can play around it better. Yeah. But I just feel like that deck is the better Carlina Asmodeus, but like I think it says a lot that I think Carlina Dante is a better Carlina Asmodeus, but I still think Carlina Asmodeus is so good that it should be seeing top 8 play.
Yeah.
So
I think that the way that William is playing makes me feel like the deck, in order to like, hey, we have to, Feethmooge has to play Dante, then I think if Feethmooge has to play against Dante, I think it's anyone's top. If Feethmooge gets to dodge Dante, I think it wins. That's a good position. That's a good position, Logan. It has to deal with, there's, I don't know what the breakdown is in terms of.
I think Chiron is playing against Asmodeus,
which
so
means
it's Dante.
Feethmooge does have to play. I believe. Yeah, it'll be Feethmooge.
Yeah. Which I think is the roughest matchup of the 4 for Feethmooge. The turn 1 Virgil is just
very difficult to deal with. Yeah, for sure.
It does have ways to deal with it, but it's a lot. It requires a lot more sculpting of your mulligans than it does for Violet.
The way that I look at the Carlina Asmodeus, at least as William has built it, it feels very much like it just always wants to. It never wants to have a turn where it doesn't cast a card. And so it's like, well, I'm playing Asmodeus so that I can pump through that chump damage, right? But I also want to always be able to have a card to play. And so like that's how you see the redundancy in terms of like so many quick cast resonators. It's just like, you didn't do anything. Cool, here's a dude. Like, you didn't do anything. Cool, here's a dude. Like, constantly trying to just like let the advancement of turns be what generates him his value.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, and I will say in our playtesting of Carlina Estema versus Feethmooge, the thing that made that matchup difficult last format, like when I played in the Singapore event, was when I wasn't applying pressure just to get Feethmooge to burn out cards, right? Like, because what happened was in that matchup is like I was answering what Feethmooge was doing pretty consistently with Carlina Estema. Like he wasn't generating a ton of value, but like I also wasn't generating a ton of value because I wasn't pressuring. So by the time it came where I had an opportunity where like this is the turn where I need to pressure, otherwise it's going to go bad for me, I hadn't made them burn through resources to cancel stuff yet, so that I couldn't get my thing to resolve. So a deck like this Asmodeus deck, or the way that Carlina Estema, the way that I built it, has kind of adjusted, is to go to that route of like, there was nothing really that you did on your side of the field that I wanted to stop. Here's a dude. Like, please make you burn through a card, otherwise you're going to have to deal with it later. Which I think leans into the weakness of Feethmooge, because the only thing it got in terms of being able to deal with boards is Flashing Smile, which is a good card. Don't get me wrong.
Very
Card's
good,
great.
definitely.
But if you don't see it or you run out of it, like, board's going to stick, you know?
Yeah. They also did get Alice's Trick, I think it's called. I think that's like
I'm
pretty
looking
good
at this
for
list.
them.
So Travis is playing
Or if he
2
plays it.
Alice's Fantastic Trick and 2 Flashing Smile. The man is also maining 2 Calamity Shield like a madman.
Oh boy.
And then I'm looking at trying to find the list for Dante. Doesn't exist. Paul has pivoted a little bit. He's now playing 3 Flashing Smiles instead of the 2 from last week, and is main decking the out to the Selective Decapitation combo.
Yep.
Like he's
also playing
he's main decking
Feasting,
the
so-
ability to like pivot to that.
Mhm.
Both Travis and Paul are playing 2 copies of Feathsing in them. They're both playing 2 copies of Feathsing. Do we know if the New Frontiers event scheduled in Wanderer is going to be in September is going to be retconned to Wanderer? What does Feasting do if Violet and Mariabella just stick? These are excellent questions. If Violet and Mariabella just sticks, you dolly it, and that's your only out. Otherwise, you cry.
Yep.
Because at that point in time, you have no way to remove a Wanderer. The Carlina deck is going to invest so much red will into it that you will never successfully connect for damage. Like, that is what's going to happen. There is nothing in the main, like, it is literally, and to their credit, both of them are playing a single dolly. So, like, they have something. Or in Paul's case, you pivot to the decapitation combo by being like, I can't hit you, I will life loss you. Like, I'll do that.
Paul having decapitation also feeds his Featsing, which is pretty cool, where Travis doesn't really have that. Interesting.
I'm trying to look at Paul's list real quick here to see. Oh, so okay, so there's a little bit of weakness in Paul's decapitation combo. Paul's decapitation combo does not, I guess it technically answers it, because you'll make infinite will to be able to attack infinite times off of infinite Garians, and eventually the Violet will run out of will. So like that's an out, but we can't go for like a life loss route with like a Lucifer. It literally is infinite attacks. Priscia, I said Priscia into Dolly. That's your one out. That's it. To that card, which is why if Pharesia and a Violet sticks, you cry. You're just like, no.
I have some interesting update on the information for our next round.
Sure.
Kyron is playing Carlina Asmodeus, so it was Violet versus Asmodeus, right?
No, he was playing Chiron was playing the mirror. Oh, he's playing.
No, I mean in top 4 here, right?
He's playing against Carlina Asmodeus, if that's the breakdown.
So, yeah. So he actually lost round 1 and then won out the tournament to make top 8.
And his one loss is the Carlina Asmo.
Is the Carlina Asmodeus
that we're playing against next round. Yeah.
Yeah, that is what happened. Yeah.
back to back revenge. Toby was also, who played in top 8. His only loss in Swiss was also to this Carlina Asmo deck.
Oh my goodness.
So like the plot armor. Got some plot armor on this Carlina Asmo list for sure. Which is very interesting. Hey, I recognize this list. Yeah, I will say Sam's list is just. I don't really see many changes. It does appear that Sam's list is just Twan's list from last weekend. the list that won.
Yeah.
So there might be some changes, but these numbers look very familiar to me. Yeah. Patrick is having fun watching Feeth Mooge do Feeth Mooge things against each other, which is fine. Let's talk about for Violet, and for combo decks in general in this environment, the power of setting the stage of Providence. It's the card I have on screen here.
Setting the stage.
This card, Charlie put it as the number one list of his match for the format, or number one card of the set for Game of Gods Reloaded. I also believe that it was, easily top 3 cards of the set. The ability to say, I'm not going to silence you. I'm just going to say I don't have to worry about cancels for the turn. For the decks, for having a second way to do that for Violet and for just combo decks in general is very, very good. Suddenly breathed a lot of life into bringing combo decks back into the format, because they certainly weren't before. They were not doing great.
I think this card is a bit overrated. Like you said, Charlie put it number 1. I don't think I would put it that high. Like I do recognize how strong it is. But like we already had Law of Silence in the format and it wasn't seeing play, and I don't think that was like I don't think just because it's cost 1 mana that it's like allowing combo decks that didn't exist before to exist now, right?
Right.
I think its best interaction and the best way to use this card actually is in Violet, and then you play it, and then you play Turbulence, and then you combo.
Right.
And it's because it costs 1 mana that you're able to really just be super non-committal to like your will base. Like you couldn't play a normal Law of Silence, right? But you play the setting the stage, and then you're playing your actual Law of Silence that now they can't counter. And that was like the only way you could beat Law of Silence or Atomic Turbulence before, was you countered that, and then you countered the Baja or something like that, right? So this being 1 mana lets Violet do a lot of things before untap that makes it even harder to interact with. But I don't think like anything else is really taking too much advantage of this, but it probably has a lot more implications in Wanderer.
I do think that it has a lot of implications in Wanderer. I mean, and it is, as much as people, I'd be curious to see if anything does get hit from Violet in Wanderer. I know that Blue Violet's already been hit in the form of the Electo ban, which was appropriate. So it's a matter of seeing what Violet does in Wanderer. Because also, like, she gets dual stones, so that's a thing, right? But then she also loses, but she loses 6 Sage Stone, which she loses 6 Sage Stone, which then, like, loses her early Violet herself flips, which, that's a nice option for Violet. Because usually, like, what we've seen from Violet is usually the decks that can consistently deal with, like, the Baja stuff struggle against the J-Ruler flip, right?
Yep.
And so when you take out, because of the loss of 6 Sage Stone, when you take out that option, it will be interesting to see what implication that has to Violet as a whole in terms of what she can do in the meta, or like how comfortable she can be against the decks that can pressure out and deal with the Baja.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of times in deck building, even in New Frontiers, but also in Wanderer, it was always a thing of like, how do I beat Violet? Okay, well, how do I beat Atomic Turbulence? Okay, here's Fire Spell. Okay, how do I beat Baja? Okay, I kill it for 1 mana. Okay, how do I beat Violet Flip? It's like, all right, this is getting a little hard. Like,
how do I do all of these at the same time? Like,
yeah, like in New Frontiers, especially like last format, there just weren't cards in New Frontiers that existed that beat Violet Flip some of the time. Like it was just really rough. And now like it's a little bit better, I think. But when people aren't expecting Violet, and after the tournament result from last week, I guess people weren't, like she just comes out of nowhere and can really,
for sure.
It's just the Val 2 effect all over again.
The Val 2 effect. So we've been given instruction by Patrick that they are in game 3 with about 7-ish minutes left on the round for the Travis Tran versus Paul Martinson Feeth Mooge Mirror. So that's what we have to look forward to.
Getting in there. Well,
getting in there. Let me see here. I'm just trying to look at these decks. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
Sam
actually,
versus.
we could talk about the Carlina Asmodeus deck. I hadn't really like looked at the list before,
Yeah,
but it's not playing the tokens at all. I didn't realize
yeah. It's
that.
not playing the token combo at all. It's literally just.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would call it more like situational bodies, and then
Yeah.
and then answers for days.
Yep.
And it's just trying to like chip you out, and then if it like it's trying to control you, and then if it doesn't have to control you, it's gonna slam a dude and then go to the next turn. Like,
Yeah.
which in this environment, don't hate.
No, for sure.
Especially considering the fact that like Asmodeus himself, with just a single God Art, not necessarily needing to use a second one, you turn a 6/6 or 6/7 into a 12 or into a 13/14 after it's already swung a couple of times. Like that by itself is a clock. Meanwhile, the deck's just like, I'm controlling everything you do, and I'm gonna progressively chip you down to death. I mean, what did we talk about? What did we talk about yesterday, right? Like the decks that are showing kind of the most success consistently in this environment are the ones that are like, I don't really need to burst you. I don't really like. I'm just gonna chip you to death. Like,
Yeah,
this
is like looking at this deck. This is like my favorite way to play Forcible. It's just, you
footsies.
can
It's just
optionally play a
footsies.
guy on your turn. Yeah, but you're just saying, okay, your turn. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna play a spell? Do I want to fuel that? Maybe I will. Go on a well sort. Maybe I will. You don't want to do anything scary? Sure, Pharisha. Like it's just slowly building a board and like trying to interact with you while doing it. And if you ever let it get like 3 dudes wide, it's just gonna Asmodeus got art. Or if you try and flashing smile their board, they'll Asmodeus got art in response. So it's pretty immune to that. I feel like.
Yeah, this is
Just looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really good choice. I think for this environment, it's doing a similar kind of thing to what Order Killer is trying to do, in the sense of like that same kind of thing of like situational control. It's just like
it's just going wider. Right?
It's just going wider, right? That's like, and that's the big thing about, and the reason why we built Order Killer to be why it was is because we didn't want to we built it in such a way to try to deal with the mirror, to like deal with other Astema decks of like, we don't want to have to commit things to board to kill you so that your Astema is not also generating you value. This deck doesn't care. This deck's just like, you can generate value. It's fine. I'm still going to apply pressure.
Here's the thing, right? Because it is kind of just like playing dudes and going wide. I feel like this deck is going to have a weakness to Astema.
Correct.
And I'm looking at this deck and I'm like, what are these Infernos doing here? Like, you're going wide, you're getting cards in hand. Like, what do you want Inferno for? And it's like, oh, that's just there to beat Astema. Like, that is your 1 card win condition against the Astema deck that you really don't beat otherwise. If they put you to 0, you just Inferno them, and it's like, oh, yeah, I guess I lose. So
yeah, you got to be careful about that for sure. Which is one of those things where, like, in a Swiss, I wouldn't think that there would be an Inferno there, but as soon as as soon as I see it in a top 8, I'm like, no.
Like, yeah, like you can't go for the lethal play until you have a way to immediately turn
off my Astema. Right? It's just like, nope.
Yep.
It's like, this thought of it purely is to be able to win. I agree that I think that this deck would probably have a little bit of a weakness to the Astema deck. Because again, like, if you and I are just continually playing this footsie game, the thing that Order Killer has advantage over this is that every time we play footsie, I generate additional value.
Exactly. Yeah. No. It'll run this card out of gas so fast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't imagine this beating Astema without Inferno.
Yeah. For sure. And there's no Astemas in top 8, so
yeah, no, it's a free ride, right? like this deck is one of the it's like a version. I like playing this type of deck as a Carlina Dante deck. So like, this is a 20 extra cards, but like my favorite way to play Carlina Dante is to like get that Virgil to resolve when you can, but then every other thing in the deck is just quick casting dudes on my opponent's turn and playing like this Pharisha, this Welser, like just like always like threatening more dudes, but like also leaving up Virgil mana on my opponent's turn. So it's interesting here that he's gone the full like 60 cards when he wants the extra punch out of Asmodeus. But I think like the main reason for that is because of Flashing Smile, because go wide, like Flashing Smile just deals 12 to your board or 15 to your board. Asmodeus can put a lot of these guys out of range of that. And that's, I think, the crucial difference.
Yeah, so. For sure. Because a lot of them are 700 defense, 600 defense, and then suddenly you're 13-14 defense, and it's like, do you have 5 cards? No, because we've been playing.
If you have double Asmodeus, it's like
you have 5 cards because we've been playing a grind game. So like, you don't. So Flashing Smile's not going to kill my board. Like, but then I'm just like, hey, what's up? Instant speed Inferno, and you're like, oh, that's a thing. That's an action you could take.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm interested about these 4 giant pigs.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. Like, I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of is that it's being used in conjunction with it's
I
being
think
used
just
in
more explosive
conjunction.
turn ones, maybe.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's being used with
Farisha?
Dante, or sorry, not with Dante. I think it's being used specifically for Dracula because Asmodeus can let you banish the Dracula, and then
Okay, so you
you just
yeah.
like banish the Dracula and then have it immediately come back. So it's this idea of like if I'm turn 1, right, I call stone with the
Yeah.
Asmodeus. I hit a 6 Sage Stone. I float green black. I recover. I use the black to play Dante. Use the green for pig. Recover. Immediately sack the Dracula. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Like go in and like start that combo off potentially. And again, you got to fill 60 cards with something. Like there's got to be stuff in there. Like you do indeed have to have it. So
there's
maybe...
a card here that I'm kind of missing because like when I played Dante, Carlina, and Wanderer with like Agrade and like the Farisha, I was playing a couple of Mimicking Beast.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with that card?
Yeah, the one that you can like banish it to like RFG a thing from your grave and but +1/+1 counters on your things.
Yeah, and just like putting 12 +1/+1 counters on like literally anything at instant speed just like wins games. Like when you've got 4 Garen, RFGs, but like you have 4 Fallen Angel Black Deers, you have a Corpse Eater Dragon, you have 4 Agrade, and you're already playing a +1/+1 counter focus deck. Like I feel like Mimicking Beast would have been really cool here, but unfortunately he isn't playing it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The one of Corpse Eater Dragon though.
Yeah, I don't know what that's doing here. I guess like sometimes slamming a Corpse Eater Dragon and just like making your opponent discard 2 is good.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
that's valid.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
again,
do something when it dies? Hold on. Maybe there's like
it
he's just like actually recurring here.
It just brings itself back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's like 4 mana is not a lot of mana for a Carlina
For a
deck. So
Carlina,
just like
no.
play this, your opponent discards 2 cards. They're like, dang. Like it almost like forces your opponent to have a counter spell because if this thing just resolves and you just have a 10/10 flyer that makes your opponent rip 2 cards, oof.
Time has been called on round.
Oh boy.
For Patrick or for Paul versus Travis.
Waiting with bated breath.
Oh, they're both at full 40.
Would you expect anything less?
They're both at full 40.
Remember, everyone at home, remember, when you're playing Thiefmooge, always side Almerius. Always.
Yeah. That's
not only because it's good against Violet, but because you will go to game 3 in the mirror. And when you side Almerius and your opponent doesn't, it's gonna matter.
Go to game 3, side in Almerius. Have the higher life total. You saw, oh my gosh. What is this? Right. Collinsville 2021?
Paul sided in the transformed. So
okay,
I'm looking at the sideboards here and looking at decks like how does anyone just like get burn damage in if you can't get combat damage in? And yeah, the transformed could just be there. It has to resolve, but you know, that's an option. What does Travis have that could do anything here?
I'm thinking if Travis has any.
Travis
Trouble Beast Warriors. I'm sorry, what?
What is that?
Oh, it's a free card. Let's see, looking at this deck. It's Dante doesn't exist. Travis is playing. Oh, he doesn't have his name on it? Nope, he does. Paul's Travis. It's the 3 Beast Warriors gets cheaper for every non-Magic Stone entity, like addition your opponent controls, and you get to kill not target non-Magic Stone, non-J Resonator entity on enter.
9/9.
So like if your opponent like has a bunch of Lycaons, you're just like, here, these are free and also kill Lycaons.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you get some damage.
Yeah, and quick cast, I mean, it's very non-committal. I feel like if your opponent has like 3 Lycaons, that's probably yeah. If your opponent has 3 Lycaons, and if your opponent has 3 Lycaons, you're not looking like you're in a good spot. But hey, it can definitely help you come back for sure.
I mean, in time, wild, 900 damage, like.
Yeah, no, a quick cast 9/9.
Because the other problem is there is like if you the weird things there is like if you like put hear me out. If you like target, if you like first 3 Beast Warriors, well, I have 3. If the cast resolves, you go like, or even in response to them like trying to tap a Lycaon, you flash in the second one. If they try to tap a second Lycaon, like the first like it's like you can force their Lycaons to be like weirdly fizzling,
stacked,
like weirdly fizzling, and then you're like, oh, okay,
yeah.
I don't hate that play. Yeah, because there's no burn damage at all in this deck.
Yeah, no,
From-
they have to stick a
from
Melfi
Travis.
and swing for 2. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's the best way.
Yeah.
Surprised to see. Am I just losing my mind? What's the squadron guy? The sideboard guy?
Oh, the
You know
Rogue
what I'm talking about?
Spectator.
Rogue Spectator. What is this card? I saw it in the sideboards. It's just
It just starts in the sideboard, and you could reveal it at the beginning of the game. It's just a dude, and you make it so your opponent can't gain life.
I feel like this card should just be in every deck. Am I
Travis was
crazy?
under Providence, so Paul couldn't respond to them, so those bodies just resolve and kill some white peons. That's certainly a way to win the mirror.
Yeah,
in
those
game.
Providence I saw on the sideboard looked insane.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, 3 setting the stage.
I don't think Paul
Our
has
ma-
any setting the stage.
Yeah, he does not. Our man Travis Tran,
Oh, he's
he's
two.
top 8'd several times. He's top 8'd several
be-
times. He's gotten to, I think he's gotten to 3rd, maybe 2nd before. So let's see if he can bring it back and win another one.
Yeah.
That'll
So
be
is he
interesting to
top
see.
4? Or are we still waiting?
We're still waiting. I
okay,
can't
okay.
I can't imagine that that in turns resolving double 3 Beast Warriors doesn't give you a significant lead.
Yeah,
but
I
we'll
wasn't
have to
sure
see.
if Patrick was talking about this game or if it was like game 2 or
I
something.
think it's
so.
currently in game, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah,
and
that
see.
seems like it would be very strong. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it becomes at that point. It becomes Flashing Smile, right? To like
Yeah,
have
it
it.
has to be. Yep.
Looking forward to seeing what comes out on top. We have 4 completely different decks in the top 4, which you love to see. Love to see that
definitely.
variety of stuff. I mean, yes, there were mirrors that led to that, but also at the same time, like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take.
I feel like like the Violet there, like if you told me that Violet was going to top this event, I'd be like, yeah, Violet's like pretty fine. Like it'll probably top. And if you told me like it made top 4, I'd be like, maybe one snuck through, I suppose, but it's not going to win, right? But then if you tell me it's Kyron, I'm like, oh crap, Violet's going to win this event, isn't it? Like,
Although
like,
he
wait
did
a
play
minute.
he did play last weekend on Violet and didn't get
Had a
there,
bad time,
so,
yeah.
So
But I mean, that was a lot more like kind of reactive, Stemma-ish kind of meta, right? This is Violet's wheelhouse. Like I think he's worried about this upcoming Asmodeus matchup. I think he said he had a pretty bad time, and
Yeah.
that makes sense, right? There's a lot of interaction that
incidental
can do, and then pumps out damage.
that also punts out damage, and that's the big part.
Mhm.
Is like the William deck is like, not only am I interacting with the Violet, like the thing that Violet has is like, sure, you can stop me, but like you're just giving me time to be able to kill you back. Whereas this Asmodeus
Right.
deck is like, nah, like I'm gonna
Yeah, like
I'm gonna interact and also apply damage to face, and you're like, oh, that's not good, because Kyron's not playing any White Gardens, I believe.
yeah. And whenever like your heart to heart gets canceled, you're like, man, that kind of feels bad. But honestly, like they took a turn off to cancel it, so that's fine. But now this deck is going, I'm gonna Fiola your heart to heart and put a dude on board. It's like, I like that less. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot less. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's not playing any copies of White Garden. No, sorry, I lied. He's playing a single copy of White Garden.
Sometimes you need it, yeah.
Sometimes you need it.
Honestly, I like having the White Garden just because it's an Atom with a different name. If there was an Atom that literally just didn't have any text at all,
You'd
it was
probably
just like an
still play
Atom, it was a chant, and it was like, when you cast this card, immediately lose the game, I would play that card and just discard it to Turbulence.
Like, doesn't do anything with discarded.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything discarded. It's just like the text on the card is 1 mana, you lose the game. I'd be like, I play it. It's got a different name than the other Atoms I have, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's really important for stuff like Baja. And I think the reason we didn't see Roderick play it is because he wasn't playing Firestorm. I'm not sure if Kyron is, but
he's
usually
playing a
that's like
single copy
one-of.
Firestorm main
Yeah.
and a single copy Firestorm side.
And that's like another important thing where you really need those different named atoms because you can just and Firestorm I think is actually super important against specifically Feathmooge because you can like it's possible for Feathmooge to interact with your Turbulence and the Baja kind of play. Like the Feathmooge just has that much extra free mana and those kind of extra counter spells to really deal with that. But like one thing you can do is you go for the Turbulence, they interact. You go for the Baja, they interact. They go to their turn, they start trying to like do some Melfi stuff, and when they tap out for Melfi, you just Firestorm them for lethal, and they're like, am I supposed to be able to play the game, or do I just need to always wait and interact with you? Because this is really annoying. Yeah,
for sure. And we saw that before, in those similar kind of senses of like Feathmooge wants to try to be proactive in some sense, but at the same time, then you have something like Firestorm as like this backup, and you're just like,
Yeah, it's that instant speed lethal that's so good against Feathmooge because they do feel safe trying to combo pre-untap at instant speed. So if they tap out for that kind of stuff, you can really get them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. we're gonna cut to a quick break, I think, because I need to get some more water, and Patrick and
Sounds good.
Paul and Travis are still playing. But we will be back. We'll probably grab the Carlina Dante versus Feith Mooch match, just so we can give William a break from being on camera.
Before he plays in the finals
Before
after
he
obviously beating Kyrie. No.
I mean, you said it, not me. So
Yeah,
we're gonna cut to a short break, and then we'll be back for top 4. Thanks, guys. and we're back a dinosaur story. Paul Martinson finds the decapitation loop in turns in last turn of time to win the game and advances to top 4. So top 4 we have is Keith Mooge with Paul Martinson versus Carlina Dante with Sam Colmer. And then Kyron Lucas on Violet versus William Miller on Carlina Asmodeus. William Miller being Kyron's only loss in Swiss.
Yep.
and William's the higher seed. So
Yep.
rough.
Doesn't bode well for Kyron,
bode well for Kyron. But we'll see. Violet.
you never know, yeah.
Kyron's done stranger things in worse situations. So we'll see what that man can do. Billy Buttons is channeling his energy and to send Kyron all of his.
I have seen Kyron drop a Baja on turn 1 before. I've seen it happen. So you never know.
You never know what's going to happen with this man. We are going to be taking the Feith Mooge versus Carlina Dante match because it's different and we haven't seen Feith Mooge at all this stream, so we might as well grab it now. So we're going to be going from there. Ryan, I'll probably have you step out of the stream room just for a second so we can get everybody in here, and then I'll drag you in.
Sure.
On Discord. So we
yeah.
can get that commentary going. Should be an interesting breakdown here. This is Twan did beat
Philip
did beat Paul last GP with this exact same list, if I remember correctly. Twan played against Paul, but I will say that Paul has updated the list to have 3 flashing smiles instead of 2. So that could be a big influence.
Very important card for this matchup, yeah.
Very important card for this matchup because, as we noted before, the turn 1 Virgil is very scary.
Very much so.
So I wonder if
good since it came out.
I wonder if Sam watched watched the matchup from last top 8, knowing that this was like in finding out that if he beat Welser, he'd play a Feith Mooge. So I'm just gonna go watch the Feith Mooge a bunch. Well, we'll have to see.
Right.
Charlie can get in here. I'm gonna drag this boy.
Oh, Charlie! Charlie just came in and spoke into my ear, like, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm like, "I'm muted. I can't even answer you."
Did you move me?
I did move you so that you can get in here to be able to sit in and judge, and then I
have admin privileges. I can.
Well, I'm moving you anyway. So we're waiting on giving Paul a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I told him he can have a couple minutes.
70-minute slogger of Feith Mooge mirrors. You kind of want to just like get some
water. You can keep
Ryan
Ryan in here.
Outside, maybe contemplate life.
So we're gonna once it gets started, I'll start them on clock, Charlie, and then I'm gonna make it so we can't hear either of them, so that Ryan and I can do our commentary over the top. So can you handle any judge calls, and if something happens, just type it in the Streamers Fortress room so I know like what's going on. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead and
good old Charlie.
Tell Charlie he's cute. Well, he left the room, so I can't tell him now. Yeah, this matchup's
gonna let him know if he's watching the stream.
Yeah, let him know if he wants.
This matchup, this matchup.
This matchup is, we saw the early Virgil being a big play here. There's, to be perfect, the Dante is the biggest problem, I think. Like the Dante Goddard, because of the fact that Paul is playing 4 copies of Tea Party.
First Spoon and Tea Party both.
First Spoon and Tea Party both. So there's a weirdness here, right? Like, let's talk about Tea Party real quick. So if you under Dante's Goddard, Tea Party never has text.
Yes.
Because it doesn't because the ability honestly, because of
the way
because of the thing that makes it broken in Wanderer, it makes it worse in New Frontiers under Dante. Because of the fact that like it's not all one paragraph. Because if it was all one paragraph, then it'd work exactly like Heart to Heart, where you cast it, it resolved, even if Dante's Guard Art was active, you gain the ability to move on. But because it's 2 separate effects, it doesn't have that. And so that's a pretty big thing here. So the question to me and the question to you, I think, is do we just, as soon as we flip Virgil, do we just Dante Goddard to permanently turn off Tea Party, or do you still try to wait and see if you can like bait out knowing that that means that all of the first boons are active for the rest of the game, just so you proactively deal with Tea Party, or do you wait until there's like a commitment to one of the other to try to God Art?
So I really think that the Dante Goddard needs to wait for first boon. Like, yeah, Tea Party is kind of scary. Like if there's ever an opportunity where like there's already a Tea Party RFG'd and then a second one goes in the chase, then maybe I'll fire off Dante Goddard. But like really, this card is just going mana neutral and going card neutral. It's never like doing anything that's actually progressing. Well, like you just get to bank mana for other turns, but like Feith Mooge already has a lot of mana. I feel like I really think like stopping the first 3 card draws from the first boon is the most important thing.
Sam, you're the higher seed, right?
So that's where my head's at.
Yeah.
There are situations where if there's like a couple Tea Parties, or if it's getting really weird, or if I really want to lock them out of mana on a certain turn where I'm like going for a lethal play or something, or I want to flip into Satan, then yeah, I'd start
Mr.
looking at
8th
Dante
seed.
Goddard. I guess looking for a Satan doesn't work if you want a Dante Goddard though. So never mind that one.
I don't know, maybe Jeremy wants to do it, but
Yeah,
Jeremy will do your timer.
Yeah, I'm gonna do your time on rounds, and then if it does hit time on round, I'll just type it. I'll just unmute myself and let you know the time on round. But Charlie's gonna obviously be the one to handle any judge calls. So if you guys are both ready, I will go ahead and start your time on rounds. You have 60 minutes. Welcome to top 4. You may begin. And we're off to the races. I gotta make Charlie quiet too.
Yep. And in the past, Satan, like once upon a time when the Dante Carlina deck like started to exist, going into Satan was a very good way to just beat Feith Mooge. But now that the first boon tech has kind of come out, they have a lot more excellent top decks to find ways out of Satan.
Yeah, for sure.
And they also like Feith Sing flip just blank Satan for a turn. Like you're guaranteed to have at least one extra draw.
Well, it has
because you can flip
barrier,
Feith Sing, right?
so you can't.
No, but you can flip Feith Sing and block Satan tokens.
Yeah, sorry, you could block this.
Yeah,
token. Yeah.
Like you're buying yourself like between 2 and 4 draws because you also have Mooge Dart to like look and go. You need to just find a Prisia or a first boon to be able to really come back from a Satan. And with like you have 8 outs in your deck and then Mooge Dart drawing, so you have like 4 draws to do it. It's very easy now for Feith Mooge to actually play through Satan. So
yeah, for sure. Which is one of the
really
reasons why that
beat
like the
down.
turbo, which is one of the reasons why like Carlina Dante really had to pivot to like not just turbo stan. I mean, like the fact that it can in certain matchups is still very good, but like the deck. The Turbo Stand deck was built very differently than Carlina Dante now, right?
Yes,
you were playing a
you
lot
had
more abusive.
Castle of Beatrice and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, you were playing a lot more abusive things to deal with. To turn on Stan and like abuse Stan in the early game, which you aren't playing those anymore.
So let's talk about turn 1 because there's one very important thing that both of these players are thinking about, and it's can Carlina stick a Virgil on 1? And the counterplay to that is that Paul can go Callstone and then just Melfi into number 13 and not let that happen. You can even just do Welser to make sure that the Virgil goes back to the hand. And like as long as it's not on the board, it's fine because you'll have more time to counter it later. The worst thing that can happen is if the Virgil sticks, then later on down the line, Paul is going to have to proactively use Flashing Smile to kill it. I think it's his only out to it, or just play a Dolly, right? But he has to do that proactively, and then Sam can like build more of a board after the Flashing Smile resolves or after the Dolly comes down.
Yeah,
so
for
just
sure.
never letting Virgil hit the board is number 1 priority here.
Yeah, absolutely. Virgil cannot stick, which is hopefully maybe the lesson that he learned after last week.
Yeah.
Mooge Dart going first. So okay, so there is a world here. There's a world where Paul, I don't, looking at Sam's list because he's playing Rigveda, as weird as it sounds, there's a world where if this is 6 Sage and Paul tries to commit at all, you like hard punish with the Rigveda. Because you just like, oh, you have a void and also a void. Rigveda your untap cancel. Or your untap stone, and then I'm just like,
cancel your Melfi.
Don't even cancel the Melfi because they wouldn't have any green, right? Unless they
sure.
Right, but even if they do go to like pay green, then float with the void, you're like, cool, Rigveda, cancel the Melfi, cancel the untap trigger, completely untapped, and then you're just screwed.
So here's the attempt at a Virgil. This is the game.
This is the attempt. Yeah, the turn 1. We called Stone with Dante. Got the 6 Sage. Here's the attempt at the Virgil.
Yep.
This is it.
There's Gary on backup too. That's
the scariest part is that there is a Gary on backup.
So
there's double Gary on
you
backup.
have to go for Melfi number 13. Yep, there's Melfi.
Or Melfi Welser also works. Like Melfi 2-drop Welser.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there anything in response to the Melfi?
So here's an interesting thing, because I think we are going to see this get canceled in some fashion. So to talk about, Sam elected to take the coin, and I actually think that's incorrect. Because you just want to turbo flip your Virgil, you actually want to make your opponent burn the coin and tap their Feasting on like the turn where Feasting isn't going to untap.
Right.
Like doing the turn one Virgil when your opponent has a coin, like yeah, they're still going to stop it, but they're also going to stop if they're going first and you have the coin, right?
Right.
So burning those extra resources, not letting Feasting
Oof.
untap, getting the coin out of the way, you're always a stone up for the rest of the game. So I actually love going first in this matchup. So it's
Yeah,
interesting
absolutely.
that Sam chose to go second, and yeah, he doesn't have a Virgil, and there's 2 stones up for Paul.
We do have the coin still active here, so we're just gonna go ahead and swing in for 2. I mean, might as well, right? Gonna hit. So yeah, Sam can't overcommit here from into the early game from Paul because of the still 3 will up. And I think that might have been one of the reasons why we waited, or we might even took the coin, is because like Rigveda's a card, right? So if Paul had tried to like overcommit, there's really not much he could have done here with only being able to use Feasting 1. And if there's 3 will up, that means that Sam's still in a position where he can go number 13 to cancel the Melfi plus Gary on backup to stop the 1-drop cancel. So like being able to have 3 will on back-to-back turns might be one of the reasons why we went for taking the coin.
Yeah. Something here to talk about is that there was no instant speed interaction from Sam on Paul's turn, no Farisha or anything like that. And that actually kind of makes you waste your first 6 Sage Stone. Like if he does have a Garyon, I would have almost actually preferred if he just untapped the Carlina and slammed Garyon on 1, because yeah, it's getting canceled, but it forces exactly
the Goddard stops
right?
it. Yeah, it forces exactly Welser.
Yeah, it forces Melfi Welser instead of just normally.
Second Carlina, second Virgil coming down here, which I don't hate. Although we can't. Gives us the option for it gives us the option for stand later, but like you said, we can't be too proactive with
you can go for your Satan. Because this early game is going about as good for Paul as it possibly can. You do just kind of have to say, well, I can only win with Satan, so you just do it and say, I mean, you've got 8 outs, but maybe you just won't see them. And I mean, last week when we saw Paul lose to the original pilot of Sam's deck, like he had this really big pop off turn and drew like 6 cards and didn't find a single Lycion to keep going and lost.
That Virgil has resolved.
Okay.
That Virgil has resolved with 3 will available still for I'm surprised that we didn't see a Goddard of no, like you said, we got to save it for later, and still 10 damage is still very good. So
yeah,
don't necessarily need the life gain, because also like if Paul's gonna kill you, you're probably dead.
Yep.
Looks like we're gonna see a Melfi on Paul's upkeep, which
did he draw for turn already, or is this end of turn?
I didn't see if he drew for turn.
File.
After the swing.
Now, yeah.
Interesting.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
They did track damage.
We will. I mean, depending on what Paul does here, I'm sure we'll be able to extrapolate.
Yeah.
Exactly what life totals are. So we're playing green. It's going to be a big show.
Are we
okay.
Going for a. Yeah, no, that is big show here.
Paid mana for that.
Yeah.
We're leaving up the other.
We don't know.
Whatever he produced off of Melfi. Not entirely sure. It is 2 floating will. I mean, he might be like representing a counterspell or something, and that's why he's like leaving that mana open and choosing to tap the stone instead. It's a possibility.
Realizing that you might be pretty quiet here, I'm going to turn you up a little bit.
He says,
Paul's turn
go to
before
my turn.
Untap. Flashing Smile. Okay, so we're on Paul's turn.
Yep.
We're casting.
And this is still using.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this was all before draw step. Okay.
So to get Paul's Lycion online.
Yep. This was white produced off of Melfi. This is our 3rd chant for the turn, so Flashing Smile coming down. Yeah, Paul was like, okay, I'll take 10. You know what? That's completely fine. I'm gonna try and just be efficient to get my Lycion online when I do cast this Flashing Smile.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No response, no Rigveda from Sam.
At least not yet.
So like, I mean, like that Flashing Smile felt like a pretty straightforward Rigveda to me, right? you cancel it.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
there's
You
a
do want to
world where
interact with
like
untap.
because he's spending a board wipe on a single card, there's a world where like can we stop the more abusive plays that might come off of the Lycion?
Right.
Like Rigveda to do Lycion kill Melfi or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if Paul happens to, we'll have to see, right?
Yeah, I just can't imagine Rigveda resolving now. Is the thing now that
Yeah.
he's untapped like that? It's like you get the flashing smile and say, okay, I'm making you have another one, which he probably does. But like your Rigveda at this point just isn't going to resolve ever, right? Because
third Melfi
you're going to
coming
play a
down here.
Lycion.
I don't think we have a Lycion in hand, otherwise that got cast already, right?
Because
Because we already had
maybe
3
sort of-
chance. So like hit 6 Sage Stone, recover Mooge Dart, immediately go into Lycion, you would think.
One would think, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we have one. That's a good I mean that's a big part of going on right.
Yeah, maybe Paul doesn't even look for it in his opening mulligan just because it can be a dead card. Okay, there it is.
There's the
We're all
first
wrong.
one.
Yeah, like your opening hand has to be Virgil interaction. It has to
If
be
there's a
Melfi. It has
cast
to be.
here, so he's casting using
This is Melfi mana.
with the Melfi mana.
hmm There's nothing that Sam can really do here. I don't think any card he casts is going to resolve. His best case is
Yeah.
like having Garyons, maybe. Going to produce green.
Double
green.
green. Looks
Gonna
like
go
we've
for a
got
Garyon.
the
Yep.
Garyon to stop the one big show. Yep.
Lets it resolve. Definitely has second one, I imagine.
Yeah.
And Big Show ticks up even if it's canceled, right?
Yeah, it does tick up. Yep.
Yep.
Second big show.
Second
Is there a
big show.
second Garyon?
I feel like there's got to be. It's kind of what
Double
Sam was
floating
telegraphing
green,
here.
right? Or or attendant. Yeah, it is second Garyon. I mean, that's kind of big.
Yeah.
There's not really an out to being able to stop double Gary unless because we don't have any main deck setting the stage of Providence.
Mm-hmm.
Still gets to tick up. Goes down to only 3 cards in hands. 3 or 4, I can't quite tell.
And this is hard to interact with.
Oh, that's
There's
4.
not the only option here is Feasting, but that he still has Energized to beat that.
Yeah, he does have Energize still to be able to beat the Feasting. Doesn't beat
Yeah.
double Feasting, but then at that point in time, like that feels really weird for Paul because
Yeah.
we're gonna dig a little bit. Like if the answer is exactly like double Feasting, then it's like, well, then you're tapped out and all you have is a Lycion, and like, okay,
Yeah.
you can resolve a big show.
Oh, he doesn't main Feasting, right? He just sideboards it.
Let's look
Oh,
at
he does
Paul's
main
first.
too. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry. He does
Paul's
main
main. They're both maining too. So
Yeah.
Welser to he's using his last lecture to try to bring his own Priscia Big Show back to hand.
Yep. Use that to get off the chase. Very smart. Very, very smart play. Love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. This is something
So
we
here's a
haven't seen.
consideration.
We haven't seen that in a bit.
No, we have not. Yeah, this is really good. This is really good. Also going to untap your Feasting. Probably Moosh Dart. I feel like he can't have
Probably.
a fourth Melty, right?
Yeah, you probably recover the Mooch.
Yeah, it gets the Moosh. Interesting thing here, right? So we see now that Sam had 2 Garyon in his opener. I actually strongly believe that Virgil is the most important card in this matchup because he hit 6 Sage on 1 and he had double Garyon and he had Coin. There's a world where he could have just slammed Garyon on turn 1 and then had Coin Garyon backup to beat exactly Welser. If Paul's heads up about it, he could go Melfi into hardcast Welser. But like if he's greedy, he's like, oh, you only have Coin. You need exactly second Garyon. Just cast Welser, and then the blowout happens, and Garyon sticks, and the game's over. And then you still have more time down the line to try and cast your Virgils when there's one less Melfi in his hand and stuff like that. So that might have been a consideration.
Oh,
but...
and here comes Coin to force at the end of turn banish of the. This is a pretty strong play here. End of turn, force the banish of the Lycion.
Yeah, make sure there's nothing
like,
floating into the
make sure there's
turn.
nothing to have to worry. Like one green will is not a huge thing to worry about for the Carlina Dante deck. It's like I can play through whatever you're gonna try to do. I can play through it.
So what's gonna happen
so
here? What's the best thing that can happen for Sam? Like honestly, to me, it looks like
Violet.
Untap. That's pretty good.
Like the Violet would be pretty huge here.
I'm thinking if there's still one Welser available, so we can't just like slam Garyon or something like that if we hit 6 Sage Stone. Not certain that we've hit Satan time yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But depending on our hand, it might be, honestly. Like I would not want to let Paul untap here if my hand if there's nothing I can do that's better than playing Satan.
Yeah, for sure, I would agree. 6 Sage Stone certainly helps.
Yep.
6 Sage Stone certainly helps here.
I would love to try and cast a card and then go Satan. That would be ideal. That would be the best world for sure. Tap your 6 Sage Stone first, or we're just gonna do it. Okay, yeah. There's no feasting available, so it's completely fine.
Yeah, feasting wouldn't stop us. Yeah, we're safe.
Yep.
That's safe.
Fine to not use the 6H stone mana yet. We
And
can
it's one of
think
the
about it
reasons why I think we're
afterwards.
only seeing like a couple copies of Feasting being played in the Thief Mooge deck. Is like there are
Mhm.
times
It's
when you
not
just
good.
don't have additions. Like, and so
Yeah.
it's just like, well, it's a dead card.
And even when
Like-
you do have additions into Carlina specifically, it's just not ever super effective, right? Just because they can always pay the one, and like your feasting is only ever like 1 or 2 at most in non-Kaguya.
We do
So.
have decapitations, love Melfi's bounce own card. Yeah, Paul should be online with 3 big show counters and Melfi's played a loop. Yeah, I mean there's a world where we're at the loop. I do feel like this is coming down
Yeah.
to third Garion though. Oh, Fallen Angel of Black Tears. That's doing this now when there's not the Rezard loop available. Like that's pretty good.
He's gonna well, okay. Here's what we could do. Actually, we could Carlina Goddard. If we Carlina Goddard at first, I'm not sure if we did. His coin is still up, so I don't think we did. But he wants to Carlina Goddard and reveal Satan. So he's going to try to resolve this Black Witch and then also draw 2 cards off of his Satan. And that's about the best thing you can do with your Satan, because even if Thief Mooge does hit like the first screen of the Prisia and can kind of get out of it, getting 2 draws, like if you just hit a Virgil, you can
Yeah,
actually
he has.
like,
He also
play it
doesn't
and
even
take
have to
down
like
boards.
Goddard the stand. I mean, like I suppose you do have to Goddard the stand here,
You
right?
have to on the chase, yeah. Otherwise, you're losing the 2 cards you draw, right? And the only out here for Paul is actually just to Welser this Black Witch back to the hand for 1. And we are
Even-
tapped out, so there's no Gary on consideration.
Yeah. But we already know that the Welser got used to save his own Prisia, so we know 3 cards
Yep.
in hand. So we know 1 card in hand is exactly Prisia Big Show.
Yep.
So
We can't cast it to find a Welser. We only have 1 mana available.
yeah,
Yeah, this could be rough.
a very very strong position. Wipes a bunch of the board, then puts a 12/12 out, gets the 2 draw cards. So he's up on cards.
Mm-hmm. What Paul could do here is just Big Show to look at his top 2, just to try to fix his draw after the Satan resolves.
After the Satan
right?
resolves, yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And that can still be really strong. And I think if he doesn't have Welser, that's his best line.
If this is a Big Show, that will be the line.
Yeah.
It's a matter of what card is about to be dropped out of Paul's hand.
Mhm.
Because if it was a feasting, it would have been used already.
Yep.
Or no, sorry, the feasting
no,
doesn't even
it
stop
wouldn't,
here. Yeah, it wouldn't.
The
it would
Attendant of
just be
Asmodeus,
Welser.
actually, because this is a full tap out play, there's no mana available. Feasting would have stopped this. And because of that Attendant of Asmodeus, I think it's just the 1 main deck because he had it. Super good there. Super
good play there.
Play up. It is 1 Attendant of Asmodeus, the one I've got there.
Well, the problem is the Welser here, like
You still get Satan, but
you still
stop
get Satan's,
the draw
but you
2,
stop the draw 2.
and the Black Witch dies.
That is nope.
Big Show.
We're doing the top deck. We're gonna see what our next draw is. This is very huge play from Sam. This is gonna.
This is also 3rd Prisia, right?
This is
No,
third
sorry,
Prisia.
this is second. This is second. No, it
no,
got
the other
Wilson
one
back
got
to his
kicked,
hand. Second, yeah.
This is second Prisia gone.
Yep.
Also gets
And
rid of the
it's-
Melfi's. So like at that point in time, with only 1 Melfi, you
Not super important. It's good for blocking, right? But
well, like because we know that Paul's playing the decapitation loop in the main,
yeah.
and now some of your
Oh, you
Lycanth,
need more than 1 Melfi,
I'm
right?
pretty sure you need 2 Melfi's for that
Oh
loop
my
to work.
goodness. Yeah. Okay.
So like the fact that we just got rid of 3 of them, I think also steals that. I'm not super familiar with the decapitation loop in how it operates, but if you need 2 creatures because you need to be able to banish 2 things to decapitation. So
Yeah,
if you
I
don't,
think one of them is the Dolly though, but I'm not sure.
yeah, one of them is the end game is like Melfi Dolly, right?
Sure. Yep.
But if you don't, typically to set it up, it's double Melfi. So it'll be interesting to see if hitting 3 Melfis here off of the Satan suddenly turns off the decap loop. Now you only need 1. You can still get there with 1, yeah, if you also have the Dolly. But you require 2 dudes. It's Rezard and 2 dudes. One of which has to be Melfi.
Yeah. We've got a feasting to activate, which the weird thing here is that like you can't really play a card as Sam before attacking, because then he gets to flip feasting, cancel that card, and then also have the feasting blocker.
Right.
So you really just have to attack for 40, let feasting block, and then you can play other stuff.
Which is still fine because like
Yeah.
he stops all the damage from he stops the turn worth of damage, right? Because he stops the fallen angel and then blocks the stand. But also like, does Sam have spot removal? Like,
yeah, maybe
because it would cost him the full 3 to be able to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Um,
Tight spot. Stand coming
There's
in.
also the potential that there's a Rigvedic kill J Rulers. I believe it does,
yeah,
right?
it can. Yep. a Rig Veda
Absolutely.
can
So
do
if he
anything.
has Rig Veda, he can attack. The feasting has to flip. That's 3 mana. There's just Welser, I guess, that could come down to stop Rig Veda.
Yeah, I
But
think there's a world where, yeah, that
Oh, he
it's
doesn't. Oh, he can't play Rig Veda. He doesn't have the will for it. You have to tap his 2/6 stones for Rig Veda mana and then call a stone.
and then call stone.
Because that
Yeah.
Astral Stone is not. It's just mono
It's
black
just mono
because
black.
Satan is
Yep,
not astral.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yep. I mean, but like you said, there's no real reason to call stone quite yet. We're seeing you just get like, there's no real reason to call stone yet. You might as well just put pressure, especially since you're at
Right.
You're at 3 cards to the potentially 2 if we see the Judgmented Feasting.
I think the consideration here is just that Rig Veda could be lethal because
Right.
if we attack with the 40 and then he flips feasting to block and that's all he has, then we can absolutely Rig Veda in response and that'll be the game. Just the 40 pushing through. But here's 12.
Here's 12
return.
pushing through. To say
Yep.
like, hey, flip now.
We're gonna flip now to blank the 12 and then also have our blocker.
Right, exactly, which is fine.
yep,
Like,
yep.
but it still forces you to take action now.
Looking at Sam's deck, what are the outs here? 7 Deadly Sins
Deadly
into another
Sins.
Black Witch.
7 Deadly Sins into a Black Witch is an out. If that,
Mhm.
unless that
Rig
top
Veda.
card is.
Is Flashing Smile an out? Well, how much toughness does feasting have?
Right now it's 7. It'll be 9. So a Flashing Smile actually is out here if Sam's playing it.
Yeah, no, it would be. And the only card that I think could potentially interact with that in
Is Welser.
Paul's hand is Welser, yeah.
Has to be a Welser.
But he did sculpt his top decks with Big Show, so
Yes.
that card is something he wants. And does he think that he wants Welser here? Because I feel like you're looking for something better,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like you're looking for something different. Yeah, that's for sure. Didn't even swing with the
Draw a card for Mooge.
Oh, draw a card from Mooge, and then
Yeah. And then we let the 12 blank, or we can just blank the token and then block the black.
I
other
mean,
one.
I mean, either way you lose it. You lose both. I think
your
you.
feasting's still
I think
dying,
you
right?
blank the token.
Oh, and you don't even block?
No, I think you still.
just have
I
a-
think you still block, but I think you blank the token so that even if there is a Flashing Smile, it's not lethal here.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Makes sense. The token doesn't have barrier, right? It's just eternal.
It has barrier and eternal.
Oh, it has barrier. Okay, so you can't blank the token then, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. So it has to.
My
be.
bad. I couldn't remember if it had barrier actually.
Yeah. Barrier. It has barrier and eternal. So.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah, you
blank
couldn't
the-
just optical camo the token. What am I thinking? Yeah, it definitely has barrier.
Yeah. So Flashing Smile. I mean, Flashing Smile is just the out here, right? So there's a
Flashing
world.
Smile or Rig Veda.
There's a world here where now that we've burned the feasting, it's Call Stone. Like float will Call Stone go in.
It
but
depends on what our hand is for sure.
It depends on what our hand. If our hand is removal spell plus our hand is removal spell plus a Gary, then like we're great. Question is there a removal spell to deal with this feasting? And there is not.
Nothing.
Do you still Call Stone here?
It depends on what's in the hand. It really does. If we don't have interaction, which it looks like we don't, I think we can just call a stone to have more mana online next turn. Because I'd like to start getting to 5 mana, especially because I'd like to start hard casting Black Witches and Garyons. Yeah,
for sure.
And I think we're just looking at the RFG pile to see what was removed. I want to see how many first boons are gone and how many Prissias are gone. It doesn't look like I can
any
actually
first
tell.
boons.
Okay,
don't
so
think
those are
any
still
first boons
the
are gone.
best top deck that Paul could find most of the time.
Yeah.
He's kind of okay as long as he can keep throwing out chump blockers for the Satan, and then the 12 in the air is something that's a little spooky. But Sam considering his options here.
I think
has
we're
a
going
2/6
for
H.
a Call Stone here.
Mhm.
Some floating will, but not sure what he's floating with. We'll find out what it is. Oh, and hits the 6
it.
age. So he still has at least some form of interaction for during Paul's turn.
He only has 1 6 stone left in his deck now,
Yeah.
so that is going to be like all of these 6 stones are going to have to be sorceries, be mana only if he wants to call stones.
Did the Violet? Battle comes to an end.
Battle
He needs
comes to an
cost
end.
1 more will. He has to pay 1 more for that. It does cost 3.
I think he will. Yeah.
I think
This
Paul's
is
gonna tell him.
huge. What do you call here?
Is it first boon?
I think maybe.
I
Yeah,
think
there
it's
he is.
first.
Yep,
I
yep.
think it's first boon. If this resolves,
First boon. So first boon's just saying draw 3 cards is really annoying. But is there does hitting Prissia just better?
maybe it
don't
might be
know.
just better.
Yeah,
We'll have
because
to see.
the concern is that first boon gets to dig you into what's it called?
Right.
Okay, it's
So
a Rezard and the 4th Melty.
Rezard
looks
Fourth
like.
Melfi. Yep.
That's a bit of the combo.
He hit
And actually
decapitation.
selective decap. Okay.
He took the selective decap. I think that's the right call, actually. Honestly,
Also good. Yeah.
since we've hit 2 of the Melfies already, taking
Mhm.
taking the selective decap to just take away that out is very, very, very good here. I think.
Yeah,
Because,
first
like,
moon is definitely like scary because they can get they can draw a lot of cards to interact with you, but really they're looking for that combo.
Because
so
at this
is
point in
fine.
time, at this point in time with the selective decap gone, Paul literally has no way to remove that token,
Yeah,
and has no way to like find lethal around the token.
he
Right.
has to go wide with Priscia. Okay, so if he goes wide with Priscia and also sticks Rezard, he can permanently block the token. That's a concern.
Yes.
And I think even right now with just Melfi Rezard, he can permanently block the token. So Sam needs to find removal for Rezard, right?
He has to tap,
which is doable. He's got a lot of removal.
Yeah, there's a lot of removal in the deck. Ceasing to call stone. We can tap out. Well, we can play Melfi into Rezard to be able to block forever, right? But
yeah.
We'd leave 2
as long as we play
open.
Melfi on the opponent's turn, it's play Melfi, produce 2 mana, block, draw a card. That gets really spooky. This actually turns off his ability to attack. Black Witch completely shuts this down if we can
Well,
find
the Fallen Angel of Black Tears can still swing.
Sorry, Fallen Angel Black.
Because it's 12 in the air. There's no blocker there.
Right.
No blocker there.
You are correct, the Mundo, sir.
Filtering with Moonstart. Yeah, so that's a thing that Paul has, like, that's a thing that now has to be a consideration for Paul, is the fact that, like, flyer, bad.
Let's see, the one of Res, it's just a one of Rezard, right?
Yeah, it's a one of Rezard.
Like, yeah,
so
that is the one thing that's going to keep him in this game, I think.
The Rezard at this point, yeah.
This is interesting. Paul plays it on his own turn. If he plays it on his opponent's turn, it's a permanent blocker for Satan, but I guess you're not getting attacked on the ground. This is probably fine for now.
Yeah, the token I can't imagine is swinging unless we have a guaranteed like way to push through lethal. Like it's just gonna sit there as a big old 40/40 untouchable boy.
Yeah, I'm just checking the deck list, looking for what removal options to get the blocker out of the way for this guy to connect.
Using a Garion.
Using
the will from Melfi +3 to play Garion to be able to deal with the Black Witch. That's really risky. That's scary. So scary.
Incredibly.
If there's any form of spot removal for the Melfi in a deck chock full of spot removal, he's leaving the Garion up. Okay.
Yeah. What is? Oh, it has Bane. No, it doesn't matter. It has Eternal. What is going on here?
The Garion doesn't have Bane.
Oh, it doesn't? I thought it did, honestly.
No. So now, since there's this tap out for the Garion, I think you swing with the token because it forces the Gary to block. Because you can't risk blocking with the Melfi against the token. There's too much good spot removal that costs more than 1.
The Garion beats Flashing Smile, I think. I don't think there's 5 cards in hand.
Well, that's fine, but that's why you swing. But that's why you swing with the token. Like you swing with the token because it forces him to drop the Gary, and then or it forces him to lose the Gary, and then the Fallen Angel of Black Tears can just swing in comfortably.
Yeah, I guess like what I'm saying is like that's the reason that he went for this Gary line. He feels like he could, if he does go for the Rezard, he dies to Flashing Smile, so this buys him another turn, and then he can set up Rezard later.
40.
You're trying to buy as many turns as possible.
What
blocks with Melfi?
Why
did we play Gary? Why did we play Gary at all? I'm so confused.
Yeah, that's gonna be lethal because very clearly Sam has something going on here.
He's got to have something. There's so many cards. Flashing Smile,
Fallen Angel of Black Tears,
Rigveda
to just kill it. Yep, that'll be a scoop up. Why did we play it? That felt.
I don't think he was ever beating Rigveda, honestly, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, it's just it's a line.
Well, tapping out in general, like you don't tapping out when there is the Rigveda, you don't beat it. But like that felt like an unnecessary risk. Like
I guess because the Garion flies, his plan was to block token with Melfi, block flyer with flyer, and that's the play.
Maybe I still think though that like you have to block the token with the bigger thing because you're tapped out.
Right. Because of Flashing Smile,
and because of Flashing Smile, and because of Rigveda, right? Because like with the deck having so many things that don't.
Well, it doesn't matter in Rigveda, right? Because Rigveda's going to kill a Gary.
But that's what I'm saying is it forces the only out that Sam can have to be exactly Rigveda, right?
Yeah, and he's only got 2 of them. Sure, yeah.
So like the out is like Fallen Angel, because like looking at Sam's deck,
because Fallen Angel Black Tears isn't out there. I completely agree.
Sam has 4 Virgils still in the deck.
Yep.
We saw 2 Virgils still in the deck potentially. Violet and Maribella doesn't remove Pharesia could be a spot removal for like Pharesia plus one other green card can be a spot removal for
Absolutely, yeah. For Melfi.
For Melfi. Flames of the Outer Worlds a spot removal for Melfi. The Rigvettas, another Fallen Angel of Black Tears, right? There's a lot of things in that deck that can answer a Melfi being blocked. There's nothing in that deck that can answer outside of the 2 of Rigvetta that can answer a block from a Gary. So like, I feel like that was an unnecessary opening to give just to stop 12 damage. Right, just to potentially stop 12 damage.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if life total was consideration because he should have been like 18, right?
He would have gone down to he took one swing from a Virgil.
So he's at 30.
30, and he took I don't think he took anything off the Fallen Angel of Black Tears.
Yeah, because he got blanked right?
it, so he was still at 30. So it would have taken him down to 18, and like that's still you're still fine there.
Like the way that Paul played that made it look like the Fallen Angel of Black Tears itself was threatening lethal when I think he was way healthier than that.
Yeah,
so unless we missed some life totals happening.
I'm gonna let him know they have time. How much time is around top line?
Sure.
Just to let you guys know, you have just over 30 minutes left on round. That to me felt like an unnecessary opening to give to Sam. To be able to push through for that lethal. So let's talk about what comes in on the board. The Thief Mooch deck doesn't really. I don't think the Thief Mooch deck has much to bring into this. I think you're just kind of Winds of Asgard. Third boon
for Virgil, right?
Third boons definitely come in. Third boon for
Charlotte comes in for 7th boon, probably.
Charlotte probably comes in. Alice's Fantastic Trick stays in the board because you're bringing in the.
I don't think there's
Calamity
Shield. I don't think your
also
stuff
probably
being
doesn't come in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the things that I think I'm in at this point.
Maybe you can top deck Calamity Shield after Satan resolves and say what's up.
And say what's up. Let's see. Coming in, obviously 2 copies of Academy Guard come in for Sam, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Castle of Carlina, I also think comes in here.
Really? I actually don't think so.
Asmodeus's.
Castle of Carlina just doesn't resolve, and it's like a 4-mana play. That is I guess more copies of Garyon technically, but I'm not a fan of Castle of Carlina in this matchup. Actually, it's just too hard to find time to cast it.
That's true.
I think it's a tentative Asmodeus. I think it's the Exomage. I think it's the Academy Guards. And I'm not sure what comes out. Maybe Duet of Light comes out. Don't think that's an important card here. Brad probably comes out for Sam. I don't think that's something that he's casting. Do you think Tea Party comes out for Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, but First Boon doesn't.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Double checking. Because bit rate looks good here.
Yeah, you were a bit fuzzy on Discord there for a second, but you sound good now.
Yeah, I sound good now. I had a blip in my internet, but it seems like we're still good. YouTube, I dropped 960 frames, but we're back. Not
fantastic.
Yeah, we're here. So
post board, what does this matchup look like?
Same game plan. Like I don't think you're really changing much. At least for Sam, I think you're still doing exactly what we saw.
But does it get harder to do that in game 2 for him?
Potentially. Academy Guard might help.
Definitely.
For sure. Wow. This is exactly what you're talking about of like now we have the
do this on turn 1, like 100%.
But the thing is here we're also on like this forces him to like burn coin, right? Like what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's a big consideration here is like it'll force you to burn coin or have to burn coin and tap Melfi or tap Featsang, which is huge.
Yes, absolutely. And then this can get really awkward, right? Because if Paul doesn't hit 6 H-Stone, he's going to be on 1 mana on his turn. If he does have to do a Melfi line here.
If he does have to do the Melfi line, which is absolutely huge.
Yeah, which means anything that Sam does on turn 2, he can carry on to stop the interaction.
Resolves.
There's
Jeez
nothing.
Louise.
There's no way. You mulligan 3 times
with 6 cards. Oh my god! And Paul chose to take Draw.
coin. Yeah, it's so weird. I think both of these players are just. In my opinion, like you want to go first in this matchup for both players, and it's crazy
Yeah.
that they both took the coin to me. But I've been wrong before. There's a reason that these players are in top 4 and I'm not. We do
So
hit 6
with this
age.
Melfi, if there is exactly, so hear me out. If there is exactly Academy Guard, plus Gary, like,
Academy guard here.
oh, there's the Academy Guard.
Oh yes. Oh, this could just be over.
Because
What
at
was?
this point,
Oh
because
man.
because if this resolves, he's already cast his chant for the turn. So then at this point in time, the only
Yeah.
thing he can do is
He can
burn
only just 1
coin.
mana.
He can
He's
burn
going
coin and play Lycion. Like,
Yep.
that's it. That's literally the only thing Paul can do here.
Yeah.
And like,
He's looking for a Welser.
looking for a Welser, but Garion stops that. Like,
See, what's weird to me is that
we're using
how many
coin-
Garion does Paul play? He has
4.
coin for Welser.
Is there
Um,
the Gary represented? Yup.
Yep.
That might just be game.
Honestly, if Sam didn't have Gary on, he would have produced double blue with Carlina.
Oh,
because
yeah,
then you can
for sure.
Welser it and then you just replay the Academy
Yeah,
Guard and
but,
then
like,
it locks your turn.
Is that just so backbreaking that that's the game? Because
I
he
wonder
can't
if
he
it's-
can't cast. I mean, he can cast a Lycion for 2 here because
Yep,
he's
sure.
cast the Welser, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah, but still, I mean, now you're on Lycion, and Carlina's
Have to be
already got a
flashing smile.
like. Well,
No flashing smile before untap. Okay,
Yeah.
this. How do you win?
Yeah,
Paul, how do you win?
we're calling stone with Dante. We've got a Virgil on live. Like, we're both only getting to call 1 card per turn. We are
Yeah.
tapped out other than a Lycion here.
Yep.
It's just call stone Dante. Like, this is.
Oh
Ugh,
man.
and we
Float
hit
Carlina will. That's lethal, right? Outside of
It's-
exactly flashing smile.
outside of exactly flashing smile, I believe. So that'll be 6, which is 24. Yeah, that's lethal. That's
Mhm.
represented lethal. Which is kind of, it's unfortunate that it's almost kind of the run back of last week's event. Is that like this turn 1 Virgil play, we had to try to play to an out. We didn't have it, and so like turn 2 Virgil just has so much will that it cracks through for lethal.
Yeah,
and
I can't believe the Virgil got to stick through third boon in the sideboard too. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
Dante Goddard. We're gonna gain a lot of life here, even if we do.
We're doing something in response
doesn't
to
go
the
through.
Goddard. Seeing if the Goddard resolves.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're
looking.
floating 2. Nope. Okay, so that's 4. I'm not gonna track life, and I'm just gonna track number of Virgil pings. So that's a Virgil
Yeah.
ping for 8 because we hit a Melfi, so we're gaining 8 and taking him down to 24
26.
or 26.
Yeah,
I guess I will track that. 4 gain 8. Virgil connects. Seeing if Virgil connects. The problem is at this point in time, Virgil connecting, I don't like. If the Virgil connects, then it's game over, even through flashing spell, right? Because we have the will to just be able to burn you out. Like,
Yeah, Virgil's not allowed to deal damage here. We're going back here.
What?
I think we were just talking about like Sam was reading his Virgil, so I think we're just trying to figure out if this is resolving or like when stuff's happening. So Paul might be responding to this. I think there was just some confusion about what the state of the game was, and here is
Wind of Azure. That doesn't. Oh, well, that still doesn't save him.
That doesn't work.
It
Yeah,
saves
doesn't work
his
at all.
because he can just burn. No, that's still lethal, unfortunately.
No,
Because you could
Virgil
just do the mode to like burn the whole face.
Yeah, burn in
It doesn't
combat,
target,
right?
Yeah. It doesn't get his
You
stuff
can also just
burn the board.
yeah, and then pass, and then
Burn him
sink
out.
all of your mana into his face anyway.
Yeah, because you've still got 4. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what is going on in the comms right now, but this is lethal unless something gets missed by Sam.
yeah, you just like at his upkeep, just burn him 16. Doesn't even need to do that. He
Yeah,
can just
yeah.
swing with Academy Guard.
Swing Academy Guard for 4 here. There's nothing that Paul can play at
Paul,
all.
yeah, Paul loses here just before draw on his turn, just ping him to death with the Virgil after the barrier's resolved.
The fact that this isn't just all happening makes me feel like Sam is a little bit confused about what he can do here. So not digging that. Okay, we are, man.
Second Virgil. We still haven't cast a card for the turn.
Sure.
I mean, that gets
Sure,
you there
yeah.
too, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Right.
then this second Virgil can ping
Mhm.
enough times with when he's still in combat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so that's still just
Or just wait until your opponent's turn and ping him before untap.
either way. This is just
Yeah.
lethal because this will take him down to a grand total of 2.
I always get nervous when like players start kind of tricking themselves into thinking they can't do something that they can do,
Yeah.
and I just get really
And then
worried.
he's
But
still
yeah,
just gonna float the 2-will.
yeah, he's gonna ping it in combat and just say that's a good game. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
that's it.
Welser, Melfi for Paul in hand. Had the Welser for the Virgil on 1, it looked like, but
Yeah,
yeah,
just
just
didn't
not.
use it. Interesting. Very, yeah, you can't let that Virgil resolve. It's very, like, I guess didn't want to burn the coin for it. Yeah, the Academy card was absolutely backbreaking in that spot. We did talk about it, right? About it coming in and just being like, you can resolve Virgil and you can resolve the Virgil and force them to take action and then resolve like an Academy card. Like, so waiting to see what other results are. Still playing. Will versus Saint. Yeah. I'm seeing what's going on. How is kind of William going on there? Yeah, Carlina Dante making its way. This exact same list making its way to finals in back-to-back weekends. Like in game 2, 2-1 game 1. Let's figure it out. They're in game 2 at the Violet deck. Violet versus the Revenge. Carlina Asmodeus. Violet got the game 1. So there's a possibility of Carlina Dante. So let's talk about that option, right? So Carlina Dante versus versus Violet. Looking at these, I think called Duet of Light. Oh, or also Pharesia, yeah. Yeah. Same with Duet of Light. He's playing Duet of Light too. And also Gaining Life. There's a lot of good stuff here. Yeah, on the flip side, Violet can just do Violet things, right? We're not seeing. I'm trying to see in the main board. You're playing 2 Setting the Stage of Providence in the main board for Chiron. So that has found its way into the main. There's also exactly 40 cards in this Chiron list. I'm very disappointed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 1 game away for sure. I mean, this is yes, Chiron is the one who doesn't have his name on his deck list. A single copy of number 13, like a yeah. Just the one. So the interesting thing here is, again, it's kind of the same situation, although it's a lot more Carlina Dante, it's a lot more relevant sooner, is the fact that the second you cast your first heart-to-heart talk, it's gonna get you 1 Violet activation, and then you're just gonna get Dante'd. For 43, maybe my count is off. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 26, 29, 31, 33, 35, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. I'm sorry. 43. Oh, Brian is. Oh, gosh dang it. My audio was set to automatically mute you as we went into this. Sorry, Ryan. Thanks, Robert, for catching that. Yeah, this matchup is sometimes Violet just does Violet things. But like I said, the heart-to-heart talk is interesting here. The implications of the first heart-to-heart talk only getting you ever 1 Violet activation.
Yep.
Like that. That is.
It's dicey. It slows them down a lot.
It does slow the down the deck quite significantly to be able to give you that time to do things like, here's a Virgil, it's gonna gain me a bunch of life, like that kind of thing. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. There's not a lot of ton other than the Virgil life gain stuff. There's nothing particularly scary in Sam's list there. The only thing is being, again, like you said, of trying to make any amount of life gain is good because we have 7 deadly sins into Fallen Angel to be like, no, Baja's only gonna hit me for 30.
Yep.
Right. So like that's a thing.
Battle comes to an end. Also a consideration for this matchup.
Yeah. I was getting there.
Yep.
Battle comes to an end. Sam is Sam is playing 2, and Kyron has no way to recur that card.
He does not, but there is one important thing.
Kyron wins 2-0, gets the Swiss revenge.
Oh
so
man,
it's gonna be
revenge.
Yeah. So the Firestorm. If Kyron didn't have a Firestorm. If Kyron didn't have the 1-0 Firestorm and Sam was just like turn 1 battle comes to an end, it'd be like, well, good game.
Yeah, well, you can still flip Violet. Sometimes
that's
so
bad because Sam's also playing Satan, like Outer World, Flames of the Outer World. So it's just like if my opening hand is battle comes to an end, and Flames of the Outer World, and I hit 6 Sage Stone on 1, I go, good game.
So here's the thing. There not only does the Kyron have a 1 of number 13, so you can't really coin that, right? But there's Tachyon. There's I think 3 Tachyon. So when Sam goes for battle comes to an end, like the thing that I've played Dante Carlina into Kyron so many times. This is probably the matchup I know best in all of Force Soul right now, just because this is like the most I've been playing recently. Tachyon into battle comes to an end, he can snap back and call Virgil.
Yes.
And just turn off your own aggressive win condition. It becomes very, very hard to kill your own Carlina if you don't have Virgil. It's that card just doesn't die to anything because it has its own natural barrier. It doesn't take damage from things that cost 2 or less.
Phyrecia can't kill it.
Yeah, Violet can't kill it.
Yeah, Violet can't hurt your own things.
Yep. So you can never really Satan after that point. And you also have no Virgil. So running the game gets rough. But also, if Kyron's hand looks good enough to go for a Violet lethal, he can Tachyon the battle comes to an end and then just call Flame in the Outer World and then just flip Violet and go from there.
That's true.
So those are the 2 options that he's going to have into that. One of the best things that can happen in game 2, I think, I'm looking at Sam's sideboard where he has the Witch of the Fallen Kingdom.
Kyron was 7 right?
I believe so, yeah. You can actually, it's very dangerous to go into Satan against Violet because they can just play Mariabella from RFG. They can get their healing robot or get Tiny Violet and start getting more card draw or just gain a bunch of life so that they can eat like 2 or 3 Satan attacks and not care about it. And then Violet's going to draw a lot of cards to get their engine kind of going again.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So you can't really go that line.
Yeah, but with Witch of the Fallen Kingdom, if you go Witch of the Fallen Kingdom and then put the guys on the chase, it gets a little bit easier for sure. So
yeah, I'm getting this
those are the
so that we can hear Kyron here, or we can get into the thing here once Sam and them are ready to go. I'm gonna push us over to the table. The time I think we're not gonna need the full 90 minutes for this match. I think this is probably not. We'll push it over there right now.
Overall, I do think this is slightly Dante favored.
I would agree, but it's certainly not
by a lot.
Yeah,
but I do
I'd say
favor
it's like a
Sam
60-40. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd Kyron go, Charlie? Oh, Charlie's going to go talk to Kyron, apparently.
Yep. Trying to think real quick.
They just both.
Sam gets the option to take the coin, and I think
he's still in here.
I think you do go second. I think you deny.
You want 5 minutes? Yeah, that's fine.
Taking a 5-minute break. Cool.
Sounds good.
We're gonna go on a quick 5-minute break, everybody. We will be back for finals here in just a minute.
Momentarily.
Okay,
Are
guys,
they starting?
welcome to finals. You have 90 minutes on the round. You may begin.
Game time.
Game time.
All right,
Sam
so
does not
Sam
already
does take the coin.
Sam does not already have one win. I think this is probably correct to take the coin here in this matchup.
Yeah, I think so. I think denying Violet the coin is the important part.
Yeah.
No heart to heart on one. Not sure if
Oof.
maybe he has it and didn't want to get Dante guarded, or if he just
Doesn't have it.
doesn't have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Falling Stone with
Getting
the
Adams and Graves, cool.
does hit the 6 Sage Stone, leaves him with 3 will for his opponent's turn to be able to do the turn 1 Dante play. This is like the
Yep.
optimum start for Carlina going on the draw. Carlina Dante
Absolutely.
on the draw. So like
We're
the
just trying to
answer
fade a
has to be
Dark
Dark
Prom.
Prom, right? Or
Mhm.
Aegis. So hear me out here. I don't know if you swing with the Dante yet. Or swing with the
You don't
Virgil
have to
yet.
the Virgil.
Because if I swing with the Virgil, then it means that like it forces you to have your only out be it again forces the only out to be Dark Prom. Like it minimizes the options from Chiron. As
Mhm.
opposed to if we swing, then we
You
give
don't
him
want to
2
play into
outs.
Aegis kind of
Yeah,
thing.
then we
Yeah.
give him 2 outs. Right? Because if he doesn't have Dark Prom here, then it sets us up for being able to set up a Pharesia next turn to protect it, and then we just permanently turn it off.
I guess the problem is if we just pass, and if he has Dark Prom, he always has Dark Prom, right?
Right,
I guess if we
exactly.
pass and don't do it, then we give him the option to like cycle with Everfrost to maybe find the Dark Prom. So we're giving him more time to find it if he doesn't have it.
Yeah, but
It's
with no,
rough. There
but
are
with
free
no,
Aegis though. So.
yeah, but with no heart-to-heart talk, then it's also like, if this is an Aegis, I'm gonna say like you shouldn't have swung. I'm gonna say like shouldn't have done it.
Maybe he just has both. You know.
That's an Everfrost. That's gonna be a connection.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
Really, you don't ever want Violet to get to 3 stones. That's kind of where the fact that they
that's
just have
true.
way too many
Right.
ways to lethal you. So you do have to clock them a little bit. And because Virgils will just die to atomic turbulence, even
for
even
sure.
Pharesia won't save that. It kind of just becomes you have to get.
Is
in
there a
Ocean
world
10.
where because we were gonna gonna connect damage, we burned the Carlina God art? To get the 10 life
Yeah,
there?
actually, 100%. In my opinion, yes.
We were gonna be
Our
able to...
stuff isn't getting canceled. Like, yeah, he plays one number 13, but like
Oh,
his
crap.
first stone was a redstone. I would love to gain as much life as possible.
Sorry,
There's
everybody,
also a
but
consideration.
there we go.
Okay, we're gonna Dante Goddard here, so we can pump a little bit of damage into life gain. There's life gain is very important in this matchup, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Sam's experienced enough to know exactly what thresholds he needs to beat because
There's
it's
the
like
Dark Prom.
5,000.
Is there a
Okay.
Pharesia here to protect
Pharesia would be huge.
Pharesia would be huge
Hope
right
so.
now. Because also Pharesia, it's like Pharesia Garion. There
Yeah,
it is. That's
huge.
huge.
Okay.
Oh, whoops. Kieran is not Thief Mooch. I apologize. Let me correct that real quick.
And like I was saying before, I don't know if I was muted when I did make this point, but Pharesia is one of the best cards in this matchup. It can be very difficult for Violet to actually beat this. They have to just atomic turb to kill this board. And
Yeah,
if
and the problem is if there's a Garion, you're like, well, right.
Yeah, and you can't tacky on a Garyon, so
Yeah, you cannot
it
tacky
gets
on a
very rough.
Garion. This is just lethal, right? Like it's the same position as like we're just seeing a turn 2 kill.
Yeah, no, he's already connected for the 10, so this is going to be a 20, 26, and then everything else.
Even just 6. I mean, it's 16 just from Pharesia. Like
We
the
didn't
Pharesia
Dante
Virgil.
Goddard yet. We gave him an extra Maribella trigger if he wants it.
Oh, that's true.
But I honestly think it's maybe okay because we're trying to Dante Goddard this turn, and like we could have Dante Carlina to stop the Maribella.
Okay, Dante Goddard is now active, forcing him
Yep.
to do the Violet.
Yep.
But
Options here are hard casting a Gradius to stop Virgil from having the ping effect.
Yeah.
No, that's not good. That's not good. It doesn't do much.
Yeah, and like
It's like
there's another dark magical loveliness here. Targeting, I mean, it burns him for 4. Targets the Virgil to tap it down. You just burn the.
Yep.
If there's a great, so like this gives it the barrier, burns him for 4. Does have a hard cast Gradius to still stop it, but even then it opens himself up to Garion, so like doesn't seem
everything
like that
burns
resolves.
in response, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can never stop this.
And that's game. And going to game 2. Because there's nothing.
It's only turbulence, and there has to not be a Garyon, or there has to not be a Rigveda.
There's a lot.
There's so many outs for how many cards does Kyron even have in hand right now? Is it enough for turbulence? Like
we're gonna float some will. hopefully green black. We still have coin, so even if it was black black, and he's like in response turbulence, you're like, I've still got green for Gary. I mean,
Yeah, no, there's.
this is just lethal. Why are we casting a card? I guess double white.
Are we pumping our board?
It does put us around turbulence. Makes turbulence not even an issue anymore. Continuously.
Okay, so this is
and he
dealing
gets to
8 more damage, so it's the exact same. Yeah.
And gain 2 grand.
Yep.
That's a huge part here too. Is this gonna resolve?
This tells me that he has Gary on, because if he has Rig Veda, he doesn't want to play as 1 card per turn.
Right.
He's swinging for lethal. Like, this card is fine to cast now because you're not losing any damage by doing it, because the 2 mana you would make black to do Virgil stuff is just 2
the
mana.
same 2 mana here,
+4,
right?
+4, yeah.
Swinging for 10.
He's dead.
And then swinging with, I mean, Virgil is.
Yeah.
There's even without Virgil swinging, we have 5 will up here, which is enough. So this is 14.
Whoever like also just puts these at a range of turbulence. So
yeah, for sure. Gonna float even more black, and then just
he's gaining 14.
First. Yeah,
this is all lethal. There's nothing. Yeah, there's.
Yeah,
that's the optimal.
Kyron scooping it up. We go to game 2. Like I said, this finals could be very fast.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like I said, the optimal the thing that Carlina wants to do is obviously hit 6 Age on 1. Very good there.
Yes,
excellent play from Sam. But it's Carlina and then it's Felicia, and that's all you gotta do. Honestly, if I'm going first, sorry, Virgil and Felicia. Honestly, if I'm going first as Carlina in this matchup, I will Callstone pass, and then I will Felicia the end of Violet's turn, and then I will go to my turn and play my first Virgil. And this just because like
so that the first Virgil is safe on the first turn it comes in. Yep.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely lucked out that Kyron didn't have the answer to the Virgil on 1, and just like had the Virgil on 1 with no threat, had the Felicia on 2 to protect, had the the hand was there for this matchup, and it's exactly this kind of thing that we talked about in terms of like what the opening lines in terms of. It's strange enough, we go in faster than the Violet deck. Like we trying to go faster than Violet. And thankfully some things in terms of what the draws were from Kyron certainly helped there.
Yeah, no turbulence, I think.
No turbulence was bad. I also really, really didn't love the risk of like essentially doubling the outs that Kyron had to the turn 1 Virgil by swinging in with it, but it ended up paying off because then he's only at 3 grand, right? But also,
to me, that just says he has the second one, honestly, because I think he's just trying to cast Felicia end of turn. Like he'll get the Dark Prom out of the way because he just he's like, okay, I'm gonna look at this Virgil because I'll spot check you. If you have Dark Prom, it's dying either way. So sure, if you have Aegis, I get it, and then my guy dies. But at the end, at your turn, I'm playing Felicia anyway, and then go back to my turn. I play second Virgil, and now it's like I've already eaten your Aegis, so now there's one less thing you can do to interact with me if I want to swing again. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I there's always it's always this like safest line, but sometimes in this matchup, because you don't want to give the time, it's just like go for the aggressive play, especially based on again what he might have had in hand.
Most important thing for Kyron here is finding turbulence. I think it's not only like the Law of Silence is almost irrelevant, but just it's the board wipe that beats Felicia and Virgil. He has to find that card to be able to win this matchup. And then for Sam, I think you're just actually hard mulling for Felicia. I honestly you'll find your Virgil, no problem. Felicia to protect it makes Violet's life so hard. Dante Goddard slowing down Mariapella makes it really hard to actually ping through Felicia's shield. Because if you don't have the 0 mana, it's hard to cast 2 cards a turn when Carlina's just pumping mana into this Virgil. So
for sure.
Felicia is the card that Sam wants, and then Turbulence is the card that Kyron wants.
Apologies for any kind of bittiness that's happening in the stream, guys. I'm checking the bitrate and it seems to be restabilizing, but we're having small hiccups. So I would encourage you to just like if it's a little bit glitchy, maybe reload it. Bitrate seems to be good, has little spikes, but see how it goes here into game 2, and it might just be over very quickly. So at that point in time, the spikes don't really matter.
Coin matters a lot here too.
Coin matters does matter a lot, and obviously Kyron is taking it. But the problem is like because Sam was able to take game 1, even if he loses here, he'll be able to take coin for game 3, which is at a pretty significant advantage.
Curious to see how Sam plays this because he could just Virgil on 1. It's like still fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you force your opponent to have the coin Violet activation, which is fine, and Kyron might just let a Virgil swing hit for 10, say that's fine, and then go heart to heart on his turn, get the 1 activation, Dark Prom the Virgil, and then have another will available to pay for Violet activation on the next turn.
Full mull of 5. Full grip. Mulled away.
Kind of good. You kind of want to see 5 mulls because I don't know. Maybe if you get to keep the 1 free shit, it's good. But yeah, this digs you deeper towards it, which is fine.
Yeah.
Are both players mulling 5 there? Is that what I saw?
No, I don't think Kyron mulled 5. I think Kyron
Okay.
maybe kept 1 or 2. Turn 1.
Good.
Calling
Call someone with Dante. This is the Freesia line.
This is certainly the like representation of Faurecia, which is still like so good, especially because if again with Dante Goddard to be able to turn off Heart to Heart, like we're still representing Flames of the Outer Worlds, like to potentially deal with the Violet. If Kyron's gonna try to pop off Violet Flip here, going into this match will just pass. I still think you drop here, right? If you've got it.
100%. Yeah. Full mull doesn't have free shit. Okay.
Full mull did not have it.
Makes it a lot of breathing room for Kyron here, but his hand doesn't look very good if he just calls someone past. Maybe he has the Heart to Heart, but didn't want to cast it until he can kind of have more will to interact with. He's really worried about Faurecia.
Bradstone.
Okay. We're trying to flip Virgil
This
here.
would leave us with just 1 green on our opponent's turn. I don't think that's correct.
Well, there's no Adams engrave. It's really hard to actually get much going, I think.
That's true.
Like I honestly believe like there's nothing like if he doesn't do this, he's just having green black on his opponent's turn. Like, is that actually better than 1 green? Because I am not convinced.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, it does.
Third boon from the sideboard. Hold up.
I think this is still fine because you still get the Dante killed.
Is there a Garyon?
Also, yeah, Garyon maybe. Nope.
Okay. Garyon, honestly, I could see this just letting this go anyway, because there's still the threat of a Dark Prom or an Aegis, and your Garyon is very dedicated to Atomic Turbulence. So
yeah,
I can see him letting this go on purpose.
The interesting thing is that I will say that the Dante this version Twan's list playing the Duet of Light is kind of huge here because it's like, cool, you killed it, it's in grave. Next turn, pay still less than normally casting it to reanimate it and make it bigger and potentially gain life. Oof, Ragstone. This mad lad.
You get all 3 modes if you have 2 untapped rulers, correct?
If we have 2 untapped rulers, we have all 3 modes.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy.
That
card's huge here.
Yeah, that card could be potentially very huge.
No 6 Sage Stone for Sam yet, which is sometimes painful, but it doesn't look like he's had a whole lot of action. So, like, whiffing them now and then hitting them later could be huge.
Absolutely. Especially if his hand is more reactive and punishing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
There's a world where I don't even hate just like trying to go for a Duet of Light here if we have it.
Yeah,
right. Because
I kind of do.
Use Well, the thing is, like, use Carlina to Duet of Light to pull out the Virgil because we have an Astral Ruler.
We don't get a second mode that way though.
That's true. But we do have 2 Omni Stones, so maybe you use your 2 stones
use
to
those,
do it instead, and leave up
just
the
pull out
Carlina.
the Virgil and gain 2,000 life. Kind of like that.
Certainly feels like that's what's being done.
It's weak to Void, I suppose.
We Judgmenting Carlina for 2nd Virgil from hand.
Kind of like that too.
Also kind of like that.
This is, I really think Kyron's kind of favored right now. Getting to, he hasn't got the Atom train going like you'd want to see. He hasn't discarded a single Atom, which is a little wild.
That's it. Well, you know what? I don't hate the 1 of Institute here.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, 6 Sage Stone.
And the
gives us 2
reason
mana.
is this means that Turbulence, you can't Turbulence into a Baja.
Yeah, okay.
That's kind of huge, right? You can't Turbulence into a Baja here. Because also
oh my goodness, yeah. Wait a minute.
Now we have Dante to be able to RFG the graveyard. We've got Carlina for Will, and the fact that like under a Dante Goddard, Mariabella can't be cast as a Resonator.
Yep.
So like then it's like, well, if I remove all your like, you have the 1 healing robot to bring those atoms back. If you try to commit to atoms, you ain't going anywhere. Like.
Yep.
I mean, there is the Aegis to deal with, right?
Yeah.
But, like,
yeah.
It is
using Violet here, drawing cards.
It's a world where we start ripping the atoms at an into a way that they're unaccessible, right? So like I'm not going for the Baja. I'm just going to make it so that you're going to pay full for Baja, and I'm always going to win that expenditure war.
Yeah, absolutely.
It also means that Faurecia is now a 12-13 if cast. Like that's oof. It's a lot.
Turbulence is no longer a board wipe. That's pretty huge. This has to get Aegis. It absolutely has to. I don't think Kyron can win the game through Research Institute. I think it has to die before he can look for anything like that, and that's going to slow him down. Normally this game state is, oh, you know what? We actually do just have Violet flip lethals too. There are no resonators on the side
Sure,
of
but at the same
Sam
time, like you're
currently.
also dealing with like Flames of the Outer World.
Yeah, and you are also worried about like
Like this
you
has got to
can't
be Flames, right? Like
could be really depends.
nope. There is no. Well, he can hold priority because he doesn't have an enter effect. We're ditching White Garden. There's the Flames of the Outer World. So he's
Okay.
gonna gain a grand. What? Just reading to double check to make sure, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We do see the Satan's Phantasmal. This is kind of huge. It gets him.
I think that the cards in his graveyard are just going away for free. His Dante is going to tap for Institute at the beginning of the turn,
Yeah,
and that's going to be a complete reset.
This is pretty huge. Like there's no reason to not just like before recovery
do it for free, right? Yeah.
Tapping the Dante just gets rid of all of it.
Yep. We still haven't even flipped Dante, so we
Or
still
not.
we have,
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Doesn't want to remove the items for free.
Maybe to set up having fewer.
I'm not sure.
You untap the Dante here again. Maybe the thought is like leave him enough that he feels like he wants to. Well, we're not even recovering the Dante here. We're floating extra will. These are some very interesting lines that I would not have taken with this board state from Stam.
Yeah, no, definitely. Maybe we're getting something going here though. It looks like Kyron only has 2 will to interact right now. Not looking super good for him.
This does make the fact that this does give Duet of Light, like a Duet of Light resolving here is also just like very, very huge, right? Because it means that now that because Violet is already dead, are we just going for Gary? That feels correct.
Gary dies way too easily, I feel.
Yeah.
Gary's not even like a card that matters to to Violet at all.
Better,
like, they
it's
don't
better as a cancel, right? Than anything else.
Yeah.
Like there's a world where Duet of Light here is like really feels really good to me because we get to gain 2 grand, and because Violet's already dead, like there's no way for Kyron to, outside of like still having Brave Force and Magical Loveliness off of a Turbulence Baja, like that's the line that has to be there. And at that point in time, again, you're still committing to a Turbulence, which is just going to get all your atoms removed, and like, you know what I mean? Like that.
I feel like we're getting to a point where Kyron can just like Violet activation here, like discard Aegis, maybe his grave gets removed, and it's his turn.
We floated double black, and looks like we do see the light. This is huge. Because now this he's gonna go for gaining life. He doesn't even need to put counters on it. He's gonna probably gain.
He has the Institute already.
Because it's that guy's a 16.
Yeah. Yes, he
doesn't need to put counters on it. So I'll give him the life once he goes to take an action, and I don't see counters on this boy.
I think he said 2,000.
Okay, great. So he is up to 6. So like I said, even that life gain, we Dante Goddard.
Very relevant.
I think there's a world where we Dante Goddard here, to be honest.
Oh, we would Carlina Goddard first.
Carlina Goddard first,
yeah. We want to save Dante for Maribella. And that's Aegis.
Which
is Aegis going after the Dante and not the Institute, though?
Oof, that's rough if it's going after the Dante.
Oh, my goodness,
Ping him twice.
Ping him twice, sure.
I think we Goddard Carlina, still ping him twice using the 2 floating black from before.
Looks like we're not Goddarding the Carlina. We might want to cash in more damage later. We're already at 6,000, so we have hit that threshold of above Turbulence Baja, and it's really hard to get that extra 1,000 damage in super easily.
I think I'm gonna ask if we
just confirm life totals.
Yeah, just to confirm totals.
Should be 32 to 60 if I'm paying attention.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he actually, because I can't hear him, if he committed the 2 floating black from the Carlina to ping.
He gestured it. It looked like to me. I would think so, but we can confirm.
So he should be at 42. 42 to 60.
42, yeah, because of White Garden, yeah.
White Garden, yep. 42 to 60. But like,
sounds right to me.
That Institute, that one of Institute.
Man, these atoms are still chilling in grave.
Yeah. I can't imagine that like probably next turn is when they're gonna go. Because they have to. Well, the problem. Use 3 to make a Baja cast cost 2. Need 5 atoms to make them cost 1, so 3 would make them cost 3.
You're fine. Yeah.
So like
you're fine for Institute actually taking these items out of your graveyard because you're getting to the will threshold where you can just cast a Baja for like 5.
Only pinged him once, I guess.
Pinged him once, yeah.
He had double wills. Why didn't he ping him twice?
I don't know.
Maybe he only had 1.
I have no idea. Maybe he's just wanting to keep one open. I'm not sure.
Or if he floated something that wasn't black, potentially, is my only
Yeah.
other thought.
Yeah, I agree with that. Going to end step. So yeah, we're getting to the point where Baja's just going to come down for 7 mana or something.
Yeah,
As long
but
as we
even
can get
that
these
is like
items
not
removed.
huge.
Yeah.
Like red
Okay,
end step,
Mr. Soft Line here,
Phyrecia. Gotta be Phyrecia
which
from
is
tapping
good,
here.
yeah.
Flashing Smile to cantrip.
To draw a card, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
his
even-
hand's looking pretty weak. So,
Yeah.
but it's crazy that Kyron hasn't been able to put together anything either. Like
Heavy
two of the
Frost.
fastest decks in the game, just
Yeah.
kind of looking at each other, getting to 5 stones, calling stones, nothing happening.
And discarding to hand size. Okay, so like
Yep,
the world here is like
it's 5
because
atoms.
we have enough
We've got
will.
5.
We have enough will. The world is just use Dante immediately, right? Like to remove that yard.
I don't know.
We
should have done this already, but, like,
6.
Yeah.
Like we have 6 will. I still
What are the outs to Baja? We could Rigveda cancel it if there's no turb. There's Rigveda just kill it if there is a turb. Or no, yeah, sorry, no, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, if there's turbulence, gonna get through. I honestly think you just use Dante here, and just like get rid of it. Like I can handle. I'm still at way more will than you. Like RFG your grave, please. Another duet of light.
Man.
That's
The thing is, we're getting to
Well-
the point of the game where Kyron can very feasibly just double Baja in a turn if this magical loveliness doesn't connect, doesn't get the graveyard out of here soon.
or yeah, the Magical Institute. Yeah. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, sorry.
8 grand.
Yeah, magical loveliness institute. I'm losing my mind.
Oh, and he didn't. And he gets to do all 3 modes. So now this Virgil is a 20/20. Swing it in for 20. Yeah, he gets all 3 modes. This Virgil is gigantic. Seeing what happens out of here. Another Dark Prom. I think you're fine with that. Now that more atoms are burned, I still think you need to Dante to remove the graveyard. Callstone. 6 stage. Woof. That was... I was nervous there for a bit when we were just calling stone. Like,
So here's a consideration. Kyron can Firestorm in response to the magical research institute,
it's
and
sure
then so if he
setting the stage of Providence.
okay,
So
setting the
remove-
stage turbulence Baja is a threat.
setting. I think that you still like with setting the stage here. We're gonna try to see if we can maybe bait anything else out of Kyron.
Gary on setting the stage. Okay,
Garyon setting the stage.
I think we're okay with that. We need to. Here we go.
Before recovery, we're gonna remove that graveyard. Yeah, I think that's
Would
the
love
time
to see
do
a Firestorm here if possible. Just to cut that life total in half, because he's at 8,000, but a Firestorm here brings him back down to a manageable life total, and then it's
Yeah, but we also haven't cast card for turn.
yeah. But I mean, if he cancels the Firestorm here, we could just try and play Baja for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah,
Cost him
we just need to
full
put one out of the
6.
grave.
Oh, we have the
We have a stone, so we can
like,
we
lure
can
it.
get
Yep. Like,
yeah we
that
could
feels
play a
real risky.
Baja here.
That feels real risky.
Yeah, if you actually cancel Firestorm here, then Baja comes down. But you are still at 8,000 life, so you probably survive.
Yeah, Baja's
that's
cut you
the
in half.
problem.
Yeah, Baja's cut you in half, and Kyron's completely tapped out. Nope, graveyard is getting removed, so Firestorm is
No Firestorm.
Firestorm is not a consideration for right now, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Kyron's still pretty healthy though.
Yeah,
Has
I mean,
time to just reload this graveyard again, but we're 3 6 stage stones in, so the next time it's very likely that Sam is going to have to actually use Carlina to remove the grave with Research Institute in the future.
I honestly think at 5 stones you've stopped calling stone. If I'm being honest.
For Sam?
For Sam, yeah. At 5 stones plus Carlina, I think Dante's best tool right now is the fact that you're gonna try
Not sure if I agree with that, because our Virgils keep dying, and I would love to just
7
play a
deadly
Virgil and
sins.
immediately dome you for like 40 damage of
7
stones.
deadly sins. To try
Going
to
for
bring back the
grave.
Virgil at the end of the turn.
Okay.
is going to resolve. That Virgil currently sitting at a nice and pretty 16-16.
Yeah, looks fine. Doesn't have the void. Virgil's going to come back. Kyron's still sitting at 42, I believe.
Yes.
46, sorry. 46.
Yeah. The other swing. This is the turn where we Carlina got her, right? Like, to gain ourselves even further life total. Like, if this Virgil survives through the turn.
I'm not sure.
Or if the Virgil goes into his turn.
I'm starting to value the Bane triggers more than I'm actually valuing the life gain, just because we're already at 8,000.
Dark Prom. Well, there's every single turn the Virgil dies.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because like we're making like eventually these Virgils, that's the one thing that this deck certainly has over the ones that we've seen before, is like the number of ways that it can reuse Virgil over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, the Duet-of-Light and the Sense. Crazy.
Like those are eventually Chiron runs out of answers, and the problem is that like we're burning through his answers while also gaining life. So like suddenly, you know, Chiron's opportunities to punish are not nearly doing as much because of the life total gains.
Yeah. Honestly, like most of the time I would favor Violet in the long game, but this Research Institute makes it so hard to get double Baja down. And that's the way that Violet punishes you in the late game. So yeah, using the Aegis to kill the Virgil definitely kept him healthy and kept this game going. And he's definitely trying to look for second Aegis, but this Research Institute really kind of stuffing its plays for in the meantime. So
another Duet of Light from the board, potentially.
Oh, there's a third copy in the board.
I think there might be. I do think it sides a third. Kind of check. No, it does not. Inferno?
Inferno?
To set card totals, like get rid of a bunch of cards out of Chiron's hand, because he's only got
three cards in hand, yeah.
Huh.
That's one way to use your card per turn.
That's
okay.
Yeah. Brave Force.
Just a bunch of atoms. Carlina's just gonna hit those, I imagine.
Yeah.
With the Institute, I think that's going here. Man, this is so risky, because what if Chiron just goes like Aegis in response? Like if he just goes Aegis in response and kills the Institute, you just put his grave full up for
like,
Baja.
Fueled him. Yeah.
It happens. Let's go.
So Chiron's at 3 cards, up to 4 cards, back down to 3 cards, back up to 4 cards.
Yep. 8,000 life to chew through. How do we do it?
To 46. 4 unique atoms. I mean, like Baja will always have the symbol skills at this point, because Baja doesn't care what he's removed.
He just costs a lot.
He just costs a lot. So like that's a consideration too. Is that like that's something that Chiron certainly has going for him, is the fact that we have so much will that even if we have to hardcast Bajas at this point, he's certainly going to be a bunch of things.
Yeah.
The question becomes that like we're RFGing the grave, we're dealing with the graveyard, and like we have to pay full price for Bajas, which then like opens ourselves up to whatever the one card for Carlina for turn is.
Yep.
So like that's a little bit of a it's just something to be.
We are recovering. This could just be a Baja. Institute did not hit the grave. There's 4 atoms in grave, so Baja costs 2. And then second Baja would cost. We could also sack a stone to make it cost 1.
And that we wouldn't have.
We don't want to sack a stone. I lied.
We wouldn't have enough for double Baja at this point. Heart-to-heart talk.
Try and force out a Dante Goddard here.
And Dante Goddard. It still feels correct.
You never like do it. You don't do it till the end of the turn, because you wait till the end of the turn. He always gets 1.
So hear me out. I honestly think that there's a world here where we should have done the Dante Goddard in response, because at this point in time, that's certainly going to try to get rid of the You immediately have to activate to make it so that Baja's just 1. So there's a world
but you're
where
losing your Carlina.
you have to Dante Goddard here and Institute.
Why would Dante Goddard here?
Because we have to turn off Mariabella.
So yeah, the concern is actually that there's second heart-to-heart. So
sure, but then no, it's not about. Sorry, it's not to turn off.
You're worried about the Mariabella just coming out right now
and getting a healing robot, putting my entire graveyard back in,
and then double Baja,
and then double Baja
ending
for
your
lethal.
life.
Yeah, so I think
pass his turn. he passed his turn.
I'm like shaking in my boots.
Yeah,
right here.
Man, yeah. I mean, he didn't play a card for turn, so he was, I guess, scared of Rigveda or a counterspell. Doesn't have Tachyon, is what I'm reading there.
Yeah, for sure. To me.
Oh,
like,
actually, Rigveda could actually play around Tachyon because you could choose the automatic ability instead of the actually canceling the card.
Yeah. Well, you get to choose new modes, right?
No, you don't.
You don't.
Oh, Tachyon can choose new targets, but not new modes.
Not new modes. Okay.
Yeah. So he actually can't Tachyon Rigveda. He has to have...
now we have Dante Goddard active, which is still the proper time. I mean, like, thankfully, Kyron didn't go for that line because, like, as soon as the heart-to-heart resolves, like, Kyron retains priority, so he could just immediately cast the Mariabella, which is, like, that feels awful if that's what happens. But now, at least the Mariabellas are turned off. Violet. Time in round is 59 minutes and 18 seconds.
That just dies to Baja. That's not really a scare card.
Yeah, that's not... Yeah, it's not terribly concerning at this point in time. But it is something.
Yeah. Wait, is this just lethal?
I don't know if we have enough will to... I mean, it's just 5.
We have...
We can't recover. We can't recover it during our turn.
Oh, it's not infinite attacks? Okay, it shows you how much I've played against that card.
Yeah, it's just 5 damage.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, that dies to Gradius, that dies to Baja. That card's not... Like, that card houses Fiefmooge, and then it's just not even a card into Violet.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. We've done a really good job of maintaining... So, like, if Kyron... Looking at Kyron's lists, Kyron plays... For the mind with no name, Kyron plays a total of 2 improved healing robots.
In the board post? Okay.
Post.
I'm gonna throw out a spoiler here. I think Kyron wins the game this turn, and I would be surprised if there's any less than 2 Bajas. Would not be surprised if there was 3.
Unless the improved healing robot gets stopped.
Yeah, but if there's 2...
If he's got the answer, if he's got 2, yeah, for sure, obviously.
Yeah.
We going in.
You usually want to try and get the blue robot off of the Mariabella just because you don't want to run to Garyon.
Yeah, but at this point in time, we can't. Unless he casts Mariabella.
Yeah, second. Yeah, like it's more likely that he has a second copy of Mariabella than it is that he has one of his 2 copies of Healing Robot, right? Just because he runs more Mariabella.
Right.
And we are sacking our stones, so...
If there's a Rigveda here, Turbulence.
There's start up with there. It seems good.
That's the start. It doesn't... Discarding 3.
Important to know also, Baja doesn't need to remove atoms with different names. So like these 2 atoms in grave could just be going for the same Baja.
Yeah, for sure. We have to get... It has to be Gary in here, right? Because there's no way we survive double Baja with the Turbulence backup. We have no way to stop it.
No way. Yeah, there's no way. But it's actually getting a little bit hard to beat to cast double Baja here because you need the Healing Robot. I mean, if this stops Rigveda and we cast Mariabella, I don't think there's any interaction he has. Yeah.
Because he does have 2 floating red, used 1. He's got 1 floating red left. That's a Gary. Cool. That stops the Turbulence.
It's 1 less Gary to interact with Healing Robot if we are just hard casting it.
Yeah, for sure.
Atoms go to our grave anyway, which is probably what we cared about most regardless.
Yep, that was what we were going for.
Yeah.
Tiny Violet. Not what I was expecting there at all.
Don't we still have 2 floating red?
Maybe he used 1 for Violet and then
use
one for... Because we don't have heart-to-heart online,
yep.
So use 1 for Violet.
That would make sense to me.
For this.
Yep.
Okay. Second Turbulence? You have
Ray Force makes it very hard to kill Baja once it resolves too.
It's true. Healing Robot.
Okay, this has to be second Garyon. 2 cards in hand. This has to be like exactly Garyon Rigveda, or I think Sam's dying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Rigveda can't even be cast here. Rigveda could be cast, but it has to cancel the enter ability. It cannot target the card.
Yeah.
This is it. This is Rigveda.
This is Rigveda.
Oh, this is like 7 Deadly Sins. Yep,
Rigveda. Kills the Tiny Violet, cancels the...
Let's see his modes.
Oh, it has to be cancel the enter effect.
Has to cancel.
Oh, he hasn't. Oh, he didn't. Tiny Violet. Okay.
going for Tachyon here. He
Going for
hasn't.
Tachyon. Is there still Garion? There's still...
Sam didn't do it. Oh no.
Can't hear where the audio is.
Yeah, I just turned him up to hear this out. Yeah. Yeah, Sam kind of missed that there because he needs to go for the automatic ability.
Oof.
This is gonna be
9, 10,
spicy.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Gains
17.
17 cards.
Yeah, he said it out loud. Oh, 16. Okay.
Leaving the Maribella, which is weird. Turned off, but okay.
Just in case they flip Satan, you want it there.
I suppose, but we're going for lethal. Anyway, that's fair.
Yeah. What could happen,
So he gains 16 cards, which is 6,400 life.
Yeah.
Goes
4,000 plus 24, 64. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot. I'm not gonna touch the life total
Yeah.
because it's gonna look
I don't-
super weird. I also think
Yeah.
we're just dead this turn. So
Kyron just remembered he has a red mana floating, so he didn't use it for Violet earlier. He energized for
no,
it.
there's Baja 1.
Baja number 1. Yeah, this is looking like 8,000 damage to me. Obviously, we do need to have second Baja, and I don't know how many cards are in hand, so.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like maybe 1.
And this
one
is
of
like
those
what I was
Force.
talking about, like how good Violet is at going late because it can just have these big explosive turns, and then when Carlina's locked to 1 card per turn, you actually just can't interact with this.
That's 4. Blocks with
Yep.
it nukes.
No, that dies, right?
Yeah.
It was abilities. Yeah.
Back down to starting life total.
Yep.
Show second Baja. Did he miss? Did he misremove? Okay, he's done that. Kyron's done that before. He did. He doesn't have 5 uniques. He doesn't have those abilities.
Does it have 2 Everfrost?
That's 2 Everfrost.
Is Charlie calling that?
Charlie, pause, please.
Is it Loveliness?
Can you come up to room 60 for us, please?
That's a little bit unfortunate.
That Baja he has. I double check, but I do believe that he has 2. I do believe that he has only 4 unique atoms in the graveyard. I think that's 2 Everfrost that he removed for the Baja, so there's no enter effect or anything.
Yeah, we can check.
Double check, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
So just to fix this play, he will lose the enter ability and he won't get swiftness. But when he plays second Baja, the second Baja will get the enter ability, wipe the board, and then the Baja on board will get swiftness. So it won't matter if he has second Baja. He can kind of play through this misplay.
Yeah, for sure. If there's second Baja.
Oh, you're still muted in Discord.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I heard you twice. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I know the life totals right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's double Everfrost.
8, 9, 10, 12. That's 6,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. He
The
does.
second Baja fixes this, yeah.
Yeah, the second Baja does fix it, but he doesn't have swiftness here. He
will have swiftness after second
Yeah,
Baja.
after second Baja,
yeah.
but it has to be second Baja.
Yep.
And so if he missequenced here and doesn't have second Baja, then that's huge. Because at that point in time, we're still up at 8 grand. I have to take life back up to 8.
I think Kyron just asked about second Baja getting swiftness.
Yeah. Because it's not an enter effect that gives it swiftness. It just has it.
Yeah. And you don't need to Baja twice. What is that card? Firestorm? Oh, he's just Firestorming to get the swiftness here anyway. But now the Violet can block. Oh, it doesn't fly. Does it fly? I don't know.
It does fly.
Oh no!
Yeah, it does fly.
We can Gradius it.
If we have it.
Yeah, we have to have it.
Firestorm would have to deal 8 grand, so it's 400 per, right? So 4, 8, 12.
Only different names though.
16, 20, 24, 28.
It's different. It's the number of different atoms in your removed area, so it doesn't matter which atoms you actually remove. It checks your removed area afterwards.
For how much damage it is, though?
Yeah. It's this card deals extra damage to target player or J-Res, where X is 4 multiplied by the number of atoms with different names in your removed area.
Yeah, right. I'm
So,
just saying for like how much damage is the actual Firestorm hitting for here?
yeah, he said 40 out loud. So
If it's
10 atoms is max damage, I believe.
10 atoms is max. Yeah. So, but like,
Yeah.
then we could just block with the Baja. Then we could just block the. But the Baja has
Block the
Pierce.
Oh, Baja has Pierce?
Baja has Pierce.
So we have a Brave Force in our hand, if I remember correctly. Yep. Flying Pierce for strike precision.
It has to.
Absolutely
I mean, we
right.
cover Tiny Violet. Oh, and give it -4/-4. Brave Force.
Brave Force is gonna be lethal, right?
Yeah, it would pump it up, and then even if we blocked, it's no, that's not lethal because it's only 6, and Violet has 7.
I mean, he has 0 cards. Like Sam, that was Sam's last card in hand.
I understand, but it's a matter of
yeah.
like, is that enough through Pierce through the block of Violet to do 40?
No, I think he lives at 100.
It has 700, so he would have left
at
he would have lived at 100.
Yeah, he would have lived at 100, but Sam's just like, yeah. I don't
This is
even.
last
Yeah,
turn.
Sam still had red mana. He still had Carlina activation. So
He also still gets to draw a card off of the witch, so like he would have been at 2 cards. And
oh yeah, the Black Witch. Yep. Yeah.
so like that's kind of.
And then you just like flip Carlina, go Satan, and then Kyron just plays robot from RFG anyway. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, like that 100 life could have been a really relevant piece.
Could have, yeah. I
could
think
have
Sam just picks it up though.
Yeah, but yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I mean, what the problem is there is that Kyron gained like 10 grand of life.
Yeah.
So that at that point in
Yeah,
time,
that,
it's like,
that
I
is
have
also
to,
a problem.
I have to answer the Baja and everything else you've ever done when you have Tiny Violet activation and I only have 2 cards. So it's like,
yeah. Like,
yeah, so,
like not even Satan, I think, gets you out of that.
I agree that not even Satan, especially since playing Satan, opens you up to going to Satan. That suddenly opens you up to, a second Baja top decking and just paying for the full.
The heart to heart comes back online.
Heart to heart talk suddenly comes back online. Yeah, no. I mean, I do think that in game 3, Kyron, like Sam's probably favored for the similar reasons we saw with being able to take the coin. But like both of these players had really, really slow starts. Which I also think gave Kyron advantage. I think that Kyron did play through that Institute pretty dang well, because that was huge. But I also think at the same time that Sam missed some early Institute activations that would have let him save some of the later Institute activations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's like not utilizing every resource to make Violet play through every single threat you have, I think was a mistake in that line.
I think it was a mistake, but I also think it didn't end up mattering just because the way that Kyron won the game was just a healing robot. So, like, he didn't play a Baja before a healing robot came down. So those early missed institutes weren't incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
The thing that stands out for me that game is just the fact that Sam ran out of cards and he was not able to ever stick a Virgil. The Virgils kept dying, and that's because he didn't draw Farisha. Literally just because he didn't draw Farisha. Like, I cannot stress enough how important that card is in this matchup, because if you don't see it, like we saw this game, Violet is going to kill every Virgil on site. He will kill 5 of them. He will still kill you from 8,000 life. He does not care at all.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to find Farisha to keep that Virgil alive.
For sure.
Yep. And if you can't do that, you have to flip Satan, and you have to stick a Black Witch while you flip Satan. That's like the only backup plan that this deck has. Otherwise, you are just going to get grinded out. But yeah, we do get the coin. The coin didn't end up mattering in that game a whole lot, I don't think. So I do think that Sam's going to take the coin here. And again, he's just looking for Farisha. And it's really hard to not draw Farisha last game with a full mull and then like playing 6 turns and not ever drawing it.
Not ever seeing a single copy. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be really unlucky to not hit Farisha here. But again, Turbulence gets around that. You need to have Farisha and Garyon and Virgil. There's a lot of things you need to really actually put together a game plan that can beat Violet and not just die to like a Turbaha kind of line.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Sam can put together.
Kyron looking to
Kyron just kind of give us a scare there, not removing 5 different atoms of
Baha. I've watched him do it on stream before too.
You
like,
think he'd pay attention to that? The Violet Master.
Make it 5 different. Like, come on, bud. Ugh.
I'd like to believe it's just a flex. Like Kyron does it on purpose, and he's like, "Oops, I guess I'll kill you anyway." Ha ha.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, baby.
I don't think
I
so.
also
No, that
I
man
also
attacked
think
with Ba. He completely forgot.
I also think that it's the interesting thing here is like there's a world where hard mode 5, yeah, there's a world where again,
Fine, Farisha.
I think we need to use that Carlina Scout art more actively. Like in game, we have not used that card that Scout art
Yeah.
at all in 2 games. Like,
Well, it's actually important. I think the most important thing we have to do with that is to draw 2 cards because, like we saw last game, he ran out of cards very quickly and then
True.
wasn't able to like if he could just play a Gary, like you don't want to play Garion because you want to use that for turbulence, but if you can just like 7 Deadly Sins into a Black Witch and then draw 2 cards there, that's pretty tight.
bleh.
Oh no,
Oh no!
this
Indeed.
is a fine pass.
We can still coin into Virgil, but I don't.
No, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I don't like this line at all.
It's going to die.
So don't attack with it.
You have to. If you're doing it, you're going in. You have to attack. Honestly, seeing how impactful the Research Institute was, I would love to have Aegis eat a Virgil and then not the Research Institute down the line.
That's fair.
The thing that bothers me here is that we're calling Stone with Carlina with the intent of flipping Virgil every single time, when I feel like what you actually want to do here is just call Stone with Dante. If you hit, you hit. But
yeah.
I think Farisha's too important.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't even want to start throwing Virgils away. Like, maybe his hand is looking more like last game where it's like double Duet of Light. So he has to get this Virgil on, has to let it die, and then start bringing it back and just eat through the amount of resources that Kyron could possibly have.
If there's not a Dark Prom or an Aegis here...
There's 6 copies, right? 3 Aegis, 3 Dark Prom.
That's an Aegis.
Yep. But yeah, again, I think you have to attack. I think it is because he's looking at double Duet. I don't think he has Farisha, because Farisha should have come down.
Absolutely.
Like, it should have been call Stone Pass to go Farisha. Kyron does hide into 4th Aegis. I wonder if that came in this game.
Heart to heart. Dante Goddard. Gonna come down.
Here, you wait till the end of the turn, right?
I mean, yeah, end of turn.
Yeah. This time, you're not worried about the Maribel. I do see what you're saying last time, though, for sure.
And that's one of the things that people, I think, it's a very subtle thing about FAO is that sometimes you have to think about what happens after something resolves. And, like, sometimes there are just cards, like Carlina, which is why, like, Carlina Judgment for Virgil is sometimes just, like, really strong. Because you're just like, well, it doesn't have an enter effect. I flipped Carlina, immediately kill it to play Virgil. And you just don't have a window of opportunity where it's like, oh, huh. Like against Dante, he has an enter effect, right? So he will there will always be a moment of interaction before they can cast the Virgil off of it. Whereas Carlina's like, nope. And so sometimes the fact that you retain priority or things don't have enter effect is like pretty relevant. Like the same with Faricia, right? Faricia doesn't have an enter effect.
Yeah.
Like she's there. She's on board.
Yep.
We hear, right?
Here's a 6 Stone for Sam. I think we're thinking about what kind of will we want to float. I can't imagine we're untapping Dante. Unless we're actually just slamming Research Institute again.
Which feels bad when we just hit a 6 Stone. Double green. So Faricia.
If he has Farisha, I really don't like that first turn then.
He might have just drawn it. It looks like it's the far right card. It looks like it's the far right card in hand.
We will see. We will see.
People tipping their hands a little bit to us.
Letting the world know. Great for spectating, not great for when your opponent sees everything that's spectated too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great for when we're at a feature match at a venue, not great for Discord.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I still don't hate just like slamming the Faricia here. I think this is great. I think this
you want to play your 1 card per turn. I mean, you got to keep it going. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure if Sam is experienced enough in this matchup because I don't know how much testing you do against Violet, right? Coming in this event. But like it's kind of something that I learned after playing a lot of matches of this game where it's like, wow, Farisha is just the Violet killer. It makes it, yeah, your Virgil dies without Farisha every time.
Dude, we did Dante Goddard at the end of Kyron's turn. So Heart to Heart is not online. We are judgmenting a Violet, which I hate this play.
Floating, calling stone. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. I heard him say it.
I was like,
Judge Violet there is a wild line.
Yeah. Judge Violet there when you're gonna lose Stone Cold, knowing your opponent plays Flame of the Outer World is like, Kyron, you.
Yep. Learn that
tossing
game
this
one. Don't worry.
away. There's the heart-to-heart with one of the red.
Okay, this one's live forever.
Is there a Gary here? Do we ever
That would be
Gary
one.
this?
Yes. Sometimes. There is a consideration where Turbulence is scarier. So you have to look at your hand and say, how do I beat Turbulence Baja
Double Gary.
if I Gary this?
Well, Turbulence can also be like canceled with something like number 13 or Rigveda, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like
exactly. But then like you cancel that and then the Baja hits you anyway. So that's the problem. There's Turbulence. Okay. He got the Gary out of the way. We have to have second Gary here,
Second
or I think
Gary. That is currently only 4 though.
also
There's 2.
number
There's
13.
no, there's Aegis. It is 5 uniques because it's Aegis.
Everfrost, Dark
Aegis,
Prom, Magic
Everfrost,
Level,
Dark
Attack.
Prom, yeah.
So, and if there's another Tachyon in Chiron's hand, you can't actually play counter spells into this. So, that's spooky.
That is spooky. Has to be
The
second
Garyons are
Gary.
super valuable in this matchup.
Which goes to show again, if we had called Stone with Dante and gone for the turn 2 Virgil, we would have been safe to be able to swing in, gain some life.
Would have felt a lot better,
Would
yeah.
have felt a lot better.
Yep. So this is 5. Yep.
And
verifying that
that's
there's 5
just
different atoms. Sam is
discarded
looking at
and
his options
crossed.
here. He's trying to think what he can do because he's only got 3 mana available. So if he has Rigveda, even if he has second Garon, he can't like throw out another cancel spell. What removal does Sam have for Baja if it resolves? So if he like does cancel this, like can he
Off
even
of
kill the Baja?
2, he would not
Yeah.
be able to. It would have to be
Flashing Smile doesn't do it. Yeah.
it would have to be Fallen Angel to survive a turn and then
Oh my
and then
god.
crack back.
Yeah. If you cancel the Turbulence, yeah.
If you cancel the Turbulence, which it seems like it is.
Yep. Second Gary.
Oh,
What? Red Witch?
to stop
Red
the
Witch
burn,
from the board.
saves the board. That doesn't
Oh my
doesn't
goodness.
save us though, because the Baja's just gonna blanket.
Okay, but this does give us the Black Witch out
Life
to
out.
yeah to survive at 4. Black Witch.
Is there Black
only
Witch
out.
to survive?
It's handshake. That's it.
That's
Chiron.
it. Chiron wins it.
Chiron takes it down with Violet. Yeah.
Chiron takes it down.
Yeah. Really rough matchup there. Chiron finally gets the turn 3 kill. Like, this is what you expect Violet to do most of the time. Game 1 just kind of died too quickly. Game 2 had to play the long game.
Yeah.
And game 3 just said, Baja, got anything? No? All right, let's go.
Yeah, for sure. That's just what happens. So Chiron Lucas taking it down. Congratulations to him. Yes, this is back to back seasons with a Violet coming in after this is literally back to back GP seasons of an event where it's just nothing but the grindy decks, and then Violet comes in the next week and goes nah, and then wins it. So good stuff. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you, Ryan, for tuning in with us and being my co-commentator for top 4 and finals. Happy to have you here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed what we did, go ahead and click that link, the subscribe button down below, or consider clicking that join button to support the channel join as a member. We will see you all later this week for the next top 20 cards in Wanderer series as we get prepared for that Wanderer GP next month in April. So until next time, this has been myself, Demo73, and I've been joined, as always, by the wonderful Ryan Miles, saying, class dismissed. Have a good one, everybody.